Iain Hume then today, at last.
Yes, finally.
It's been a while.
The Scottish, Canadian, English.
There's definitely a bit of Scouse in there. There's definitely a bit of Scouse in there.
Definitely a Scouse twang there somewhere.
It could be a good. It could have been a good quiz question. That which odd one out. Iain Hume's accents. Scottish, Canadian, Wirral, whatever that. I don't know whatever that is classed as, Spanish, something like that. I don't think everybody will answer. I'll be honest with you.
Well, we were gonna keep this until we were back off the Zooms, weren't we? But
yeah, we were gonna go full Zooms, weren't we? But we've stuck them out there,
Yeah, I think it's a good one. It's a good, interesting.
Yeah, he's had a good career.
Injury, career.
Probably a blighted career, you'd say. A blighted career, blighted by injury or the injury. You would probably say. I would say it's fair to say. You were only, 24, 25?
Yeah, he was younger than you think.
Nice.
But he's still looking to play now, isn't he? He's a free agent.
And there's the perceptions of other people as well, not just himself. But he says that. But he says all that in the episode.
It's that long ago that we recorded it.
You can't remember, can you?
I can't remember fuck all about it. I honestly can't remember fuck all about it.
How can you remember?
He's edited it, hasn't he?
I'll claim that one, Johnny.
I'm tired, mate. I'm tired. But yeah, great lad, by the way, as well. Great lad.
Yeah, lovely lad. He was always good with the young lads at Preston. I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
In the youth team and that, he really looked after them, dropping them off after training, bringing them in. Used to charge them £100 a month, like, but I'm only joking. He didn't.
I was just like playing with you, right? Because you were an absolute workhorse. So I knew that I could just take my foot off the gas a little bit with you, because I know he'd do me running for me, bless him.
Yeah, just be a little bit slower getting into gear in the hope that Hume would come flying past you.
Yeah. Mate, you're going to have to charge that one down, mate. Next one in that corner, you have to charge it down, pal. Yeah, no bother. Just give me 5. Give me 5, Hume. Give me 5. Just...
We hope everyone enjoyed the quiz on Saturday. Have you got over it, Chris?
Nah.
Disappointed?
I'll never get over it.
Is there any apologies coming my way, or...?
No apology needed.
No?
What for?
No.
So you blatantly shafted me. Honestly.
I got shafted the week before, but I didn't make a song and dance about it.
What did you get shafted the week before with?
When I got rudely interrupted as I was bringing me items.
I never said no to that. You brought that up this week. You brought that up on this week's quiz.
Retaliation.
Eh? But I know I said Vera first. Anybody watch the quiz knows.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah. Fucking Paul Banks.
It's all for the greater good, John. All for the greater good.
You knew I were a bit touchy, didn't you? I've been fucking doing quiz all day.
Oh, aye. Your face. There's probably 4 seconds when you're like that. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off.
Mate, the worst thing about it is, right, obviously we've put a little clip of it on Instagram, haven't we? So it's come up on my Instagram, liked by Ollie Parkin. I'm like, oh my God, my youngman's seen it. Unliked it. He's only 11.
Stuck on my unveted balls.
He'll be saying that in playground when he's back at school. You've no one else to blame, John. No one else to blame.
My nana was watching it. My nana was bloody watching it, man.
Stuck on my unveted balls.
I think one of his teachers watches as well, to be honest. So I hope it were a topic of conversation on the Monday morning when he went to school.
Well, that was the last quiz for weekly quiz anyway. We're going to go monthly with the quizzes.
Yep.
Last Friday of every month. So the next quiz is only next week, really. But from that point, it'll be the last Friday of every month.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing one question for it, to be honest with you, lads.
Thank the Lord.
Not one question. But you do want to take me odd one out round through weed, don't you?
I enjoyed that.
I did quite enjoy it once I got into it.
Once you realise
the grasp of it.
Friends as well. We got Friends on Wednesday.
Tomorrow night.
The last one. We're going to go monthly with that one as well. So we're going to have a quiz and Under the Cosh with Friends every Wednesday live on YouTube.
Yes, but stop right there. You've got to know right now before we go any further. We've got something else for you Friday night and Sunday night. What have we got for us? What have we got, Chrissy?
We're going to try something a bit, won't we? Will people watch it? Is it going to work? Nobody knows. But you don't know until you try, do you?
Anybody fed up fucking Motson and what's some more of them commentators? Neville and all them. Anybody who's getting bored of their voices, we're going to commentate on the game.
So what we're going to do, we're going to watch we're not commentating. We're not. I'm not.
Fucking hell.
Don't know half.
I think we better learn the players, John.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to you saying Tongan after 12 Fosters. So
go on and explain it, Chrissy.
Man United v Tottenham, Friday night. We're going to do a live stream. We'll watch the match, put a live stream on there. We'll see what happens.
A little bit like a Zoom goggle box type thing.
Some might say.
Yet again, though, similar to the quiz, really. It's for our benefit, not anybody else's.
Yeah, so we're not bothered if nobody else watches it.
Basically, we've nothing to do on Friday night.
Yeah.
Who else do? So we said, should we have a Zoom? Yeah. While we're watching match? Yeah. Should we live stream it? Yeah, go on then. Stick it on YouTube.
So basically, we're just swapping as Foster's Saturday for a Foster's Friday and Gin and Thatcher's Saturdays for Friday.
Thing is, as well, I've just had a great... you know, if you don't watch the live stream, but you watch the game, just come on, so we'll nick a few views and we'll put a couple of karaoke songs on at the end. we'll nick 50,000 views. Good idea.
Dear me. You weren't happy about that though, were you?
You know, it's one of them where if you're on a night out and you're in the zone, you know what I mean, and the lights come on, music's off, and there's nowhere to go.
I'm done by then. When the time lights have coming on, right, I've been ready for about an hour.
Thing is, you know me, lads, I haven't got a stop button.
If it's got to the point where the lights are coming on, right, and I'm not full and I've had enough to drink, I've not done something right throughout the night.
You need to change your drink, John.
And there's nothing I can go to. I've tried it all.
But yeah, it was in the best interest of the.
We couldn't have another karaoke session again.
No,
I know everybody's enjoying it, and Chris, you were saying that's the only reason people tune in. But
yeah,
they don't tune in for us stick a couple of tunes on at end at night, do they?
You'd be surprised the amount of videos I've got from people on the sofas. I've got music blaring.
I've had a few messages saying, "Do us a favour, mate. Just text us when that fucking shitty quiz is over."
It was like when you were at school, you know, when you're going for a game of footy on the field, and the young'un who brings the ball is having a shocker, so he says, "Right, I'm fucking off home."
Yeah.
Everybody else with no ball.
It keeps getting knocked out first at one man web. Yeah. My tea's ready now. Anyway, fuck off. I'm going.
That was Chrissy with a stream switch. See you, lads. Yeah, the best thing about it, I didn't even know we'd been cut off. I'm chatting away, and then Mackie turns up in the Zoom. I'm like, what are you doing here?
I knew it had turned on because I could tell in Chris's face.
I was oblivious.
Oh,
good fun.
Should we get him out then?
Shall we get him in? Iain.
Come on, Iain. Iain Hume, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
Our our second international from outside the British Isles or Ireland.
Is this a fact? I'm not sure who's the first.
Bruce Grobbelaar?
Yeah, will be.
Yeah, nobody else.
Are you sure? Have you researched this or?
What, researched our own guests?
Yeah, because you've just came in. You've come in with a fact, and I'm just saying, have you researched it?
That's a fact. We'll put that as a fact.
I'll take that then.
Canadian international.
Yeah, and many a times.
Should
have been more.
Yeah.
Been a long time since I've seen you, I know that.
Yeah, me as well.
Teammates for both of you.
Yeah. On numerous occasions.
Yeah.
Both numerous occasions. We'll get onto it later on, but we've got some managers in common where there's been good times and bad times and horrendous times
and even worse times.
So how did you end up over here in the first place? Because you were born in Scotland.
I was born in Scotland. Moved to Canada when I was a year and a half. Dad got a job offer over there, and family just uprooted. But I came over, obviously playing football. Hated it when I was a kid. Like when I was 3 years old, Dad tried to get me to play and picking daisies and all that. Wanted to play baseball. He told me no chance.
Is baseball the
national sport?
No, it's not. Well, ice hockey. Well, it used to be lacrosse because obviously invented it and all that. But used to be lacrosse. Now it's lacrosse and ice hockey. Baseball's a massive sport over there though as well, and especially at that time, the Toronto Blue Jays were one of the better teams in the league.
So the Blue Jays.
It's been a
sound good.
The BJs. They sound good, don't they, the BJs?
Been a long time since they've been one of the better teams. But
so you didn't like football as a kid?
No. Well, as a kid, as a 3-4-year-old, I didn't like it at all.
So your dad pushing you in?
No, he just said, "You're not playing baseball. You can sit this year out." Sat that year out, put me in the next year, and I loved it, and been playing ever since. So, just came through the ranks over there and played local football and played over there. We have kind of like your counties here, so you have your provinces. So I played for my province from under 14. Played for Ontario, and I was 12-year-old then. So I played 2-3 years there, and in the midst I was coming over on trials and came over on trial to St Mirren. Did well, 13-year-old training with the first team.
How did that come about? How did you get on trial at St Mirren from Canada?
Because
very good question.
Well, it's mad. We have obviously Canada's got a lot of expats, so you have a lot of ex-Scottish coaches and English coaches and all that. And one of the guys spotted me and was like, "I think you got a chance over there." So obviously, mum and dad are like, "Well, it's a dream for us. You playing Scotland would be brilliant, close to the family and all that. Us travelling over to see us would be brilliant, and the family'd come and see it." So I've gone over St Mirren, did bloody well, like 13-year-old training with the first team. So I'm a little bit out of my depth a bit.
You must have been even smaller then, by the way.
It wasn't going to be taller, was it?
Well, no, but you know what I mean. But
I was very, very, very slight.
Yeah.
I was probably 5'5", 5'4", so not much.
I was going to say, you've only grown 2 inches.
I've not grown much.
23 years.
But I was like a rake. That's gone as well.
Yeah, it happens to us all, mate. Don't worry about that.
But no, did really well, and they were very impressed and spoke to the first team coach, and I obviously trained with the youth team there as well, and they just buzzed off me. Sent scouts over to watch me in Canada and all that, and brought me over bags of gear, and they were just buzzing off me, and then stopped answering calls and emails, and so it was kind of a...
They did?
Yeah.
St Mirren stopped answering?
Yeah, they'd said, "Oh, we'll keep sending scouts. Once you're 15, we'll bring you over and preschool boys, and we'll do your first year, and then you go into YTS and all that," and just stopped. Tony Fitzpatrick was the manager at the time and got sacked, and the youth team coach and all that stopped any contact. And
so do you know back then, so we're talking what, you say you're 13, what are you now? So 22 years ago.
Would have been 97.
So was football bigger in Canada than America then?
No, because the MLS had started up.
Right.
And obviously just after post USA 94 was huge there.
Yeah.
So it kind of blew up, and Nike started pumping money into it, and everyone started pumping money into it. So in Canada, it's the biggest growing sport, but it's never ever going to have the financial backing that you've got in the US.
Right.
Is that now? It's the biggest growing, or even back then?
Well, now it's the biggest sport in Canada. They've got more kids playing from like under 8 to adult. You've got more people playing soccer than anything.
Because I watched that Gold Cup semi-final. Not all of it. I watched the highlights earlier.
I watched the Gold Cup last Friday.
USA v Canada, and I was thinking, I wonder what the atmosphere's like. And it wasn't really half full stadium. Really.
Was that the one I played in?
Yeah.
2007. Yeah, that's the last Gold Cup I played in. Scored, yeah, came on and...
Clear one off the line, back heel.
Oh, The MCL didn't matter then. Just popped it up on the post.
Commentary's brilliant.
Clint Dempsey.
Iain Hume clears it off the line with a back heel. He saves it for Canada.
I remember I came on and I was raging I wasn't starting because we got the semi-final and all that, but come on against, do you remember Boccanegra?
Mm-hmm.
There's Boccanegra, and do you remember the big lad who signed for, where was he? Onyewu, Oguchi Onyewu. The two of them were centre halves, and I've come on and I just didn't give a shit. I came on and I just smashed everything that came near me. And like Onyewu's gone up for a header, and I've come up across the back of him, knee in the back, hooking one of those, win a header. And everyone's like rolling around and bitching to the ref, and we just beat the shit out of them for the last half hour of the game, and scored the goal. And then we had a goal disallowed, and I'm sure you've seen the highlight of that. It's the most ludicrous offside call ever. And the reason the fans back then didn't come out, but the stadium was filling up.
Frustrating?
Yeah, no, because we were used to
when
it.
you've been playing, because at that time you experienced professional.
Yeah.
You're playing in England in front of massive crowds, big atmospheres, and then what should be a huge game, USA versus Canada.
Where was it at?
Chicago, Soldier Field. I was actually talking about it with the wife the other day. Soldier Field, and it holds 70,000 people, but it wasn't anywhere. It was probably half full, but it was getting fuller and fuller as the game went on because Mexico was playing next, and that's how it was. The fan bases have grown. Like, that's 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, that's a long time ago in terms of it.
Comparing that to college American football thing, it's just
if you think
international football,
the NFL was playing there, if Chicago Bears were playing at Soldier Field, it would be full. Like, not even a question. Not your national team, just the city's professional team.
Yeah.
It wasn't Ronnie Moore who signed you, was it, at Tranmere?
No, John Aldridge. Well, even then.
How had he seen you then?
Well,
I
actually came over. So in the midst, I did St Mirren, essentially got fucked off. The year after I came over, and this was the dream one, I came over to Hearts. So I was supposed to do Hearts, Hartlepool, York, 1 week each. And I came over to Hearts and I did that well with the under 16s and under 18s that they asked me to extend for the 3 weeks. So I binned off York and Hartlepool at the time.
What year was this?
That was 98.
So Hartlepool will have been League One, were they?
I think
no, they'll be in League Two.
Because I went to
Hartlepool on loan in '99, and they were League Two.
I think York would have been League Two as well.
Yeah, they will have been.
So
that'll have been Chris Turner, I would have thought, at Hartlepool.
I wouldn't have even been able to tell you. But I binned them off because I grew up a Hearts fan. Family's all Hearts fans, so it was the dream move. If that happened, that was me set. In my head, that's me set for life. And again, same thing. Jim Jeffries comes in, speaks to me. He's a first team coach at the time. Comes in, speaks to me. He's like, "I've watched you play. You've trained with us once." And he's like, "I've just heard about St Mirren. We'll report on the SFA. Let's get you signed up. Blah blah blah." Personal meeting with me and my mum. Like, I'm buzzing because Jim Jeffries is a hero of mine. And same thing, exactly the same thing. Fucked me off. Just stopped answering calls. The youth team coach stopped answering calls. I got an opportunity because I was 14-year-old and I was playing under 18s in Canada. So I was playing like provincial with the Ontario team. I was playing in the national team under 17s at 14. So I was doing really well, and this one select team from Toronto were like, "Okay, we're putting together a group of under 18s. We're going to go over to England, play games." And they're like, "We'd love you to come."
For scouts to come and watch.
Yeah. So we came over. We played against England schoolboys. We played against Everton, and we played against Tranmere. I know the variations of teams there. But did well in all games. Newcastle and Everton scouts came up to me after the game against Everton. Newcastle randomly were sitting there watching, and they're like, "We like him, but he's a little bit too small." And I'm like, "Fucking great." So we played against Tranmere and had a proper battle. Like, we played in. We were based in Bolton, and we played against them and right battle, scored a couple of goals, and
So Tranmere League 2 then?
They were championship.
Championship?
Yeah. So John Aldridge had them. That was the year after I think they lost in the playoff final.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was 98, I think it was. So we played against them, and they're like, oh, this kid's really good, and just a shame about his passport, and our coach was like, he's Scottish. Like, is he fuck? Oh, but he's a little bit old. He's 15 years old. Like, oh shit. All right, well, get him over, and we sat down, spoke with the chief scout and all that, and they said, well, listen, we'll be in contact. Gave him my number. Within a week, they'd called and said, we've got so that happened in I think it was the January or February. They had a end of season tour with the under 18 team. They went to France, played a tournament in France, and they're like, we'd love to bring him over. And I'm playing in a under 18 team tournament in just outside of Paris. Played against PSG, played against some local teams, make it all the way to the final and play fucking Port Vale.
France played Port Vale.
All the way to France, played against PSG in the semi-final, beat them 1-0. Played Port Vale in the bastard final.
Portby wasn't playing, was he?
I couldn't even tell you. See, it's madness because the amount of players you come up against when you're like youth team and all that, and you're thinking, like you brought up about Whittingham, and played against. He was in the youth team at Villa when I was in the youth team at Tranmere. And that was the famous Villa youth team that went on and pissed the FA Youth Cup.
Yeah.
And we should have beat them. But reverting from that, gone over there and played Port Vale in the final and
You beat them?
Beat them 1-0, scored the winner.
Get it.
So that went down well, and the youth team coach just sent good reports back to Aldo at the time and said, I want to sign him up. September 13th, 99, I came over. And I was little to know that I'd be making my debut 6 months later.
So what, you're 16, you make your Tranmere debut?
Yeah, 16, I think it was 167 days, I think it was.
He's got it, mate. He knows him. He's a Mr. Football, by the way.
It was a big thing because I broke Dixie Dean's record at the time.
Right.
So for me to be beating somebody like Dixie Dean, okay, not beating him, but breaking his record for the youngest player was huge. And
There must have been straight. That must I think we're probably skimming over the fact that you are like challenged height wise, aren't you?
Always have been.
but you know, like back in the day, he's too small. He's too small. We'll wait till he gets a bit bigger. You know what I mean? That stigma about being too small back in the day, weren't there?
Yeah.
So you must have been.
But the thing is, I was the biggest fanny in the world as well. Like obviously played with both of you. You guys know I love a tackle. I love challenge. Back then I was a shitbag.
Really?
I actually got brought on sub and hauled off sub by the youth team because I come on and we were playing Wigan away. John McMahon, Steve McMahon's brother. He was our youth team coach. He's brought me on and put me on the wing or whatever, and the fullback's come and tried to smash me, and I've jumped over him. And he's pulled me, goes, Hume, you do that again, I'll rip you off the pitch and you're never fucking playing again. 2 minutes later, went into a tackle, next one, jumped. Hume, get off the ripped me off.
Pulled you off?
Pulled me off.
Do you think you needed that?
He goes, you're a big fanny.
A little funny.
Like, I'm literally 15, maybe just 16, and I needed it. And the next, when I finally got back into the side, got smashed a couple of times, ankle gone, fucking swells up like that, and learn a lesson, learn how to tackle, and learn how to put my foot in, and
put yourself apart. And
I'm kind of a horrible bastard now.
So they welcome you in open arms?
Oh, did the shit. In the youth team were brilliant. The lads were brilliant. Got the old shit in the boot and all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the old shit in the boot. I know it well.
It's a classic.
But you must do now. You must do it.
Put it underneath the insole in your boot.
Oh.
And put your boot on, it squelches up the sides. Add that one. No, but you can't do that now. You can't do any initiations.
Scandalous, isn't it? You can't shit in somebody's boot now.
No, but you know anything.
Oh, mate, I totally agree with you, mate. I totally agree with you.
Like the game's changed so much since we've come through. that everyone's precious. But not just the game, the world. Everyone's bloody precious about anything. How dare you say that to me? Fuck off.
Yeah.
You'd have done that year ago. Like, we had lads who... One of our lads, when you'd have played with him, Shawnee Thornton.
Oh, he's featured on here a couple of times.
Yes, he has.
He was one of my best mates. Moved to Sunderland, completely lost him.
Really?
Didn't know where the hell he went. Like, I lived using my digs. So he came through the youth team with me, and me and him lived in digs for 4 years, bloody hell. Went to Sunderland, and that was bloody hilarious because I knew exactly what was going on. Our kid's not well. Down his brother Kev was at Coventry.
Yeah.
Our kid's not well. I'm going to go down and visit him. Training at fucking Sunderland, the country. Travelled up to Sunderland training with the first team. Like he'd only played like a unbelievable talent, but he was an acquired taste. I lived with him, so I knew how to rile him, and I knew how to piss him off, but I also knew what he was like, and he was a good lad, one-on-one. He had moments, especially when he had a drink, he completely changed. But when I knew what was going on, when he went up to Sunderland, it came out brilliant, because I knew exactly. They were asking me like, "Did you know what was going on?" Huh? Didn't know.
Nothing about
Said,
it.
I thought he was going down to see his Kevin. Like, like the stuff that used to go on there, like on a night out in Liverpool, and he's just made his debut or something like that, and he's hammering one of the first team players, saying, "Where were you when they were handing out ability?" Thinking, like I'm sitting there thinking, like, Sean,
Did he have his bleach blonde hair then?
Yeah.
And he's what?
Caps,
17, 18-ish?
Yeah, Sammy Wethead, we used to call him, because he used to have ginger locks, ginger bloody
Roots.
worm hair. No, he used to have ginger fucking undercut. So, and he was like always soaked it and then he went to blonde because he was getting hammered about it. But he could look after himself. Like, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah, he was quite handy actually.
His old man's a boxer. So his old man was a boxer back in Ireland, and he used to do all, and he was a tough kid. Like, I'd back him against majority of players I've played with. He's a one-on-one. I'd say he was a tough, strong lad, and he could throw a punch.
There's a new spin on Sean Thornton.
Yeah. There's a story.
He's a bare knuckle boxer.
Well, he used to live
when
right
he was
here.
at Donny.
He used to live right here.
And I think Lewis Guy used to wind him up. Remember Lewis Guy?
Yeah.
He used to wind him up every day in training. And I think Sean's obviously said, if you do it again, I'm going to hit you. So he's done it again during this game, practice match. So Sean's laid one on him, and Lewis Guy's ran. He's ran in. Like, I don't know if he was crying or whatever, but he's just give it legs.
What, I'm just fucked up?
Yeah. But he can. I've seen Sean on the punch bag and that, and
He's a tidy puncher, like. But we had it. Our John McMahon, like, there was beef going on between our digs lads, and he was getting wound up, and John McMahon's like, "All right, lads, get round. You two in the middle." And he's fucking wellied the lad. Like, he's had a right go at him.
That's the youth team coach. He said, right, there's a little bit of trouble here.
A little bit of tension. Let's
Just
release
get in a
it.
ring.
Yeah,
Get in a ring.
But like dirty tackles going in and little chirpy. Fuck it, lads, get in here.
Let's sort this out.
Ring round. So you fetch your best. We'll send our best. And they've had a fight. That's fucking outrageous.
But
isn't
like,
it?
you know the stuff that's going on in change rooms and all that, and you as well, Brownie. We've seen it, but like, you can't do it now.
No,
like Sean, he'll tell you he got battered by the lads because of that comment he made on the night out. The next day in training, or the Monday, so that was the Saturday or
From the
whatever.
senior lads.
Yeah, battered him, and you know how precious he was about his hair, bleach blonde, Gareth Gates style up, and came in on the Monday, and the lads called him into the gym at Tranmere, and lights out. So he goes walking in, the lads are first team pro, because he's in the first team now. First team players in there doing weights. Goes walking in, light out. Lads battering him, cut his hair, boot polish all over him, Vaseline all over him. Comes out, fucking raging. He had to go and shave his head. But you know how he is with his hair. It's like you even look at it the wrong way, and he gets
Let alone
upset.
shave it
I'm
off.
not out with my food.
But he got a good welling because. But you could do that back then. Never called his agent, never called his mum and dad and said this and that. It happened. Unfortunately, it happened. The same season, it was actually the year before when I made my debut. I was the last game of the season. was like May the 3rd, and I was flying home on May the 4th or May the 5th. So we went in, and all the kitty was left. So there's like 400 quid left for the kitty, for the lads to go to Maga with. And I'd never went on a lads holiday. As soon as the season finished, I pissed off home because I'd spent 7 weeks in Canada. And they called us in, and they're like, all right, who's going to get up and sing? Hume, how about you? And I'm like, and this is just knee-jerk reaction was, well, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to get the money. I'm not going to be involved in the money. How about some of the lads who are going on holiday? Fuck off. Get out. And then I was training with the first team then, because we had our last game coming up, and it's like 30 degrees, and we're out training, and all of a sudden Clint Hill's hard nose and
Like,
great.
he thinks he's Ian, man. You know what I mean? He's one of them.
But he's a top lad.
Yeah,
like,
good at, absolutely
but
incredible.
he'd 2 foot you around the head and help you up. Like and that's what he was like every day in training. And that's one of the players who I learned how to change my game, because he'd come through the back of you. If I was training with him, he'd come and smash you,
and then pick you up,
and then he'd help you up, and then smash you. And you learn things off players like this. And the last training session before we played our last game, we were playing Palace at home the next day, and I'm warming up, and so I was with the reserve team. They called me, "Oh, Hume, come on over." I come running over. I'm at the back of the queue. Next thing I know, you know the old physio scissors. They can cut through bloody lead without even thinking of, like a hot knife through butter. He's pulled these out his pants, turned round. My kit from bottom of my shorts right up to the top. I'm in the middle of training ground up here, stark, like absolutely
Did we get the sloggies as well?
bolloco, yeah, absolutely bolloco. And the only kit they had left was like 3/4 tracky pants, big rain jacket,
Lost
and all
property.
that. And I'm laying in the middle of the training ground, absolutely starkers. And we've got a trainee physio woman from bloody John Moore University in Liverpool, and I'm sitting here like this, and a little 16-year-old kid.
16-year-old.
Hold me bollocks. Like. But I never complained. It happened. Unfortunately, it happened. And nowadays, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying
I think it were right, mate.
you should be going doing these sort of things. But nowadays, it's like everyone's expecting of, well, this is what you give me. I deserve this. I deserve that. Bollocks. You earn whatever you get. And nowadays, it's you got 18-year-old kids on 100 grand a week. Back then, you were on 150 if you were lucky. And then you'd buzz off your appearance fee. Yeah. You had like a 250 quid appearance fee. Yeah, new pair of shoes, Reebok Classics end of the month.
Like you won lottery, weren't it? It were like you won lottery.
But yeah, diverted away from what the subject was. But yeah,
how long were you at Tranmere before you moved on? Was it 5 years? 4
yeah,
5 years?
I left in 05.
There were a few managers through that time as well.
Ronnie Moore must have been in there.
No,
I missed
I don't
that.
think he was.
Ronnie came after me.
Brian Little.
Brian Little, yeah, top man, absolutely legend of a guy.
Aston Villa, Brian Little.
Yeah, absolute legend. Just a genuine nice guy, decent coach.
Too nice, or
Nobody had his number 2, who was a dick. Great lad, but on the field and training ground, Richard Hill. He used to play Gillingham and all that.
yes.
Somebody said that, hadn't they, that he was too nice? I'm sure
Brian Little.
he's been mentioned before.
He is a gentleman, proper gentleman, but that's where he expects the respect from the players, because what he did and how good he was as a player, and he coached Villa. And then he had Richard Hill as his number 2, who he was the arsehole.
So it was the original good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, they had the utmost respect from everybody, because they'd hammer you, and if Brian hammered you,
In a nice tone.
but it meant something. If you got hammered by him, it meant something, because he'd very hard to upset.
So was he the manager when you in the playoffs then? The League One?
Lost to Hartlepool. Yeah, he was the manager then.
Yeah, because I remember cheating on Hartlepool.
You prick.
That was it was the semis one. It wasn't the final.
Semis, yeah. Well,
Just
the three teams in the playoffs then were Sheffield, Brentford, Hartlepool, us. We'd beat all them home and away all season. Battered them.
Sheffield.
The only teams we couldn't compete with were Hull. Were you at Hull then?
League One?
League One, yeah.
No, I
With
joined
Nick
the
Barnsley.
season after.
So we couldn't. The only teams we couldn't compete with were Hull and Luton. and we just couldn't compete with them. They just, like Nicky Barnby, guys on $8,000 a week in League One. Back then it was unheard of.
What they used to do, Hull, whoever used to play well against them, they used to buy them. That's what happened with Billy at Port Vale.
Yeah.
Billy must have had a fucking couple of good games against him. Peter Taylor bought him.
Yeah.
Same with Kev Ellison.
He's a good guy, Peter Taylor, isn't he?
Yeah.
Fucking knob.
Oh.
But we'll get on to that.
Oh, mate, that's another manager who I weren't realising.
Oh, I've never worked with him.
Right, yeah.
No, but that was because of him.
Oh, dear.
So how did you move from Leicester to Leicester come about then? Because I bet it was it tough to move away from Tranmere after they brought you from Canada, 5 year there? You must have felt a bit of connection there.
Yeah, and like my missus, I just been with my missus, had my first daughter. So
had Tranmere started falling down the way now?
No, we were League One.
Yeah.
So we'd fallen down early, a couple of years before with Dave Watson, Aldo and Dave Watson. So we got relegated to League One from the champ. And I was making a name for myself through League One. Started out in the champ, coming in and about, and then League One made a name for myself. And a couple of times I'd been close to moving, joining Preston. A couple of times with Billy Davis there. And it just never came about. They always wanted a bit too much money, and it was ended up they turned down signing me because they wanted more than $500,000 or something like that. Ended up signing Sedgwick and Nugent.
Yeah.
So they took Sedgwick or they took Nuge from Bury, and Sedgy, where did they sign him?
Rotherham.
Was it Rotherham at the time? So they brought them in for less money than what they were getting asked to pay for me. So good bit of business for them.
Yeah.
So it worked out all right, didn't it?
Yeah.
For them, anyway.
Well, exactly. Well, the thing is, it is what it is in football. It happens all the time. People ask for that $50,000 more, and they're like, "Yeah, piss off! I'll go get somebody else."
Yeah.
So how were Leicester doing at this point? I lose track of where they were.
Well, they got relegated, and then it was the first year in the champ. So I joined on the second year. So they were trying to clear the wage bill and all that off.
So they've got relegated from the Prem.
Yeah.
Trying to get rid of the big dogs.
Yeah. So they
Pipes have been one of them then.
would have been. So their first, they went down. They would have had like Brian Dean. They would have had Dickov. To bring me in, they sold Connolly to Wigan.
Dion Dublin been there.
Dubs was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He stayed that year. He left the year after for Norwich. Or
So that would have
Celtic.
been-
Sorry, he left for Celtic, didn't he?
Did he?
I don't know if it was Celtic or Norwich.
He went to Celtic before Norwich.
Yeah, so he left us for Celtic. Mad one. Can't get a game for Leicester and moves to Celtic. But yeah, it was so they literally just sold Connolly to Wigan.
The small striker.
Yeah.
What a player
The
he
one
is.
that was
by
at
the way.
West Ham and all that, great finisher. But he was ledge.
Got you in like for like.
Well, that was the original plan, was like for like. Let's get somebody in, obviously on a 20th of Connolly's wages, and younger, quick, hopefully be able to score a few. And
So
it
who's the manager at Leicester?
Craig Levine, my boyhood hero,
Gonna say he's an Hearts guy, isn't he?
Hearts captain. Yeah, used to be. He was a legend. So when he got on the phone and said, "Listen, I want to bring you in," and kind of like, okay.
Pass me the pen.
But they turned down, because were you there with Ned
Nah.
at Preston? No.
Nah.
So he was with Billy Davis as a number 2, Dave Kelly, and he's on the phone to me saying, "Listen, we want to sign you, but the owner kept putting up the wage or the transfer amount, and then declining, and then moving on. I'm like, all right, whatever. So Leicester came about. I'm like, Premier League club, this, like 100%. Just moved into Walker's like a year before or 2 years before. I'm like in 35,000 seater stadium, beautiful stadium, great opportunity. But I wanted to go to Preston because it's local. I could have stayed here and gone
Travelled up.
So I ended up going down to Leicester, and I think deadline cut off was 5 o'clock. So I got down there about 3 o'clock, and I'm doing my little microwave medical and all that, and get a phone call. They've accepted for Preston. I'm like, can't get up there. I'll never get back up there and get a medical done. And it worked out well. At the time, it was the best decision ever because.
Do you think you'd have gone to Preston if you could have made it?
If it was 11 o'clock, if it was 11 o'clock cut off, then I probably would have thought about it more. But the fact that I
like logistically, you couldn't get to Preston for your medical for your 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been possible. But in hindsight, a great decision because I just loved everything about Leicester. Even with the relegation, all that was just a great club.
Yeah. What was it like playing for your hero?
At the start,
never meet him, don't they?
Yeah.
It was at the start. It was brilliant, just because of who he was, and he was a hard nose centre half. But we played one game. Can't remember who we were playing. I think we played Derby away and I'd scored, and we beat them at Pride Park, which was a big one for Leicester fans. And then we got beaten at home by somebody. Can't even mind who it was. But at the time, you know, Nike come out with the Vapors and they send you boots, and they sent out like white boots, and Levine hated coloured boots. So I spoke to Nike and said, listen, send us out as close to black as you've got, because they didn't do them at the time unless you went for Tiempos. No, but I wear Vapors, so they sent out dark navy blue Vapors, and I wore them in the game, and we got battered comfortably. Like, it was probably like a 2-0, but like 80% possession, and never
could have been more than 2.
I never won a tackle. Come in the morning, boot boy goes, Hume, where's your boots? Like, in the fucking boot room. No, they're not. I said, well, then they're in the skip from Saturday. No, they're not. All my boots had gone missing. Levine had chucked all my boots in the bin.
Dark blue.
All my boots. All of my boots. All of my Vapors were chucked in the bin.
We should have got black, shouldn't you?
They weren't available.
Okay, let me just ring Nike up. Hey, do me a favour. Change the line.
Get back on them Puma Kings. Seeing you from Leicester.
But
sorry, Cristiano, we'll have to get back to you. Ian Hume's up for.
Like, all my boots chucked out, and I'm like, fucking grow up. Like,
what was your relationship like with before this?
All right.
So he's just...
I was in and out the team because obviously you had Dublin, you had Mark De Vries was there, a big centre forward, and I was in and out the team, and it was what it was. I was young. I was, 20, 21, coming into a team where, like, driving my 51 Reg Vauxhall Astra into the car park, and there's Bentleys and Range Rovers and all that. I'm like, kind of out of my depth a bit. But, yeah, it was fine. You had your back and forth where your manager's a bit of a hard nose and he hammers people and whatever, but we never had a bad relationship.
But even then, you'd rather have him hammered you for it rather
I'd
than just
rather
sort
him
of
said, listen,
wait
you
until you
get rid of the fucking boots. Like, I think it was 3 or 4 pairs of Vapors back at the time. Like,
get a few quid for that.
Yeah.
I'd have been like
if he'd have told me, I'd have just sold them. Tried to get myself whatever black ones, get them dyed.
Could have got some boot polish made them black.
Yeah. But yeah, so after that, it kind of went a little bit.
Do you think it was just using
I was an
you
example.
as a young lad as a scapegoat?
Yeah, and because I was breaking into the team and because they'd spent money on me, if he's going to do that to me, then other players might think, oh, fuck.
He'll do it to us as well.
Yeah, let's change shit up and let's start with... So it happened. I didn't go and bitch about it.
See, I'd have just said, like, until you buy me 4 new pairs of boots, I'm not training.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
I don't think he would have done.
No, I don't.
He would have done. I wouldn't have
I
done.
don't think he would have.
I think he fucking would have. He's that stubborn, isn't he?
He's full of shit.
I'm telling you, Gaffer, until you
full
get
of
me
shit.
my new boots, I'm not training. So, fuck yeah.
But
You play with Andy Johnson?
Played with Jono the season after that. Was it the season?
We've had him on, certainly.
Yeah, had him the season
Interesting
after.
character.
Well, we now know he's as mad as what people said. What were we like in the dressing room back then?
He was loud. he was with his fucking flowing locks.
Good looking fucker, weren't
He was, yeah.
He was
Don't know what he
good-looking.
looks like now, but
he?
he was-
Let me send go ahead. Sorry, Jono. Jono, I'm sorry. It's happening to us all.
no, he was.
No.
He was a good crack. I don't remember a lot of back then. I'd obviously the training side of things, but at that time it was very the conveyor belt of managers coming in and out, and we'd been Rob Kelly'd come in from Levine got sacked. Rob Kelly came in. kept us up next season. 6 months in, got sacked. Brought in Nigel Worthington, did well, and then that was when Jono was out with. I think he came in the summer, the second season, did well. When he had a couple injuries here and there, but his old head tackle, passed the ball, did his basics.
Because you've played under a lot of the tremendous 10 that we speak about a lot on the podcast. Gary Megson being one of them.
Tremendous 10.
I've just bumped it up there.
To the tremendous 10.
Yeah, and Gary Megson's up there.
He's an acquired taste to a lot of people.
Meet your palate?
I was okay with him. He wasn't. He worked just hard, and like this is what we were saying before about hammered us about. He was all about fitness. He was all about the amount.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Drum roll here.
No, it was.
This is my favourite story of the 85 podcasts we've ever done, by the way. So just please listen up for this, people.
No, it was. He was very big on Prozone, so we had this big Prozone setup put in. It was like 80 odd grand or 100 grand put into the Walker Stadium and all that, and we did it all. And then
for YouTube here, you
it was he'd come in and he'd analyse you and the opponent's Prozones, and we'd played Stoke at home, and this big fella was playing against us, and we'd come in, we got beat, and come in on the Monday, and I think he'd run nearly 13.5k. And then he'd
that's a lot of running, by the way, people.
Hey.
A lot of running.
Yeah, considering on average you're normally a striker's normally doing between 9 and 11 and a half maybe. You get your odd one who goes over 12, but this fucker's doing 13.5, and he's hammered us. If this fat cunt can run fucking 13.5 kilometres and use
I'm gonna let you off for that one, Gary. But
no, but he's like, if he can do that, why the fuck aren't you? And just laid into us like, and it was a tough bloody week until the next game, and just hammered us. And I think we'd done a bit more.
That story, Ian. So I've run 13.
It's in the past, mate. It's in the past now.
I've run 13.5k in the game.
I think it was maybe a little bit short of 13.5k, but very close to 13.5k, and I remember it. And it was, it was funny. Well,
I've never seen
bearing in mind, folks, I'm not kissing his ass because I didn't know him then. But it was that fat cunt. That was the.
That's what we'll take from this story. But it was one of those.
13.5k in 6 games for the last 10 years.
I know, I played with you since then. Hey, but what would you rather do? 13.5k and not score, or 7k and score a hat-trick?
I'd rather a 20-yard and score. I'd rather a 20-yard and not score, I'll be honest with you.
Maybe 7k at Ellen Road and score a hat-trick? You take that one?
Yeah.
All right, Hume. You've already.
I told you we should have got him on early, didn't I? Should have been on fucking months ago.
No, but that was Mego to a T. Worked you hard. A lot of people didn't like him. A lot of people thought he was all right. I got on with him all right because I've kind of based my game around running. So he was all right, and he was kind of cut the same cloth as Nigel Worthington. Works hard. Nigel, I think I got along with a lot more because his tactics were like spot on. He very anal about things. Like everything had to be done this way, that way, and you had to work hard. Yeah, like it was if you didn't, you just weren't anywhere near the team. We had a lot of talented players in and around the team at the time, and not even in the 18 if you didn't have that.
Because they weren't working hard enough.
Yeah, if you didn't have that bit of bollocks about you and work for the team you weren't in.
So it was a real conveyor belt of managers towards the end.
Well, just my career, mate. It's been the story of my life.
That's when Jerry Taggart took over for a while.
Tags was caretaker for a bit. That was enjoyable. No.
I bet Tags working at the old fucking 13.5 on pros.
No, Tags would get him. Like he was just helping out because he was doing the reserves and doing his coach. Started his coaching and all that, so he was doing the reserves and that. And he always used to get involved. And he had a nice left foot on him. And he'd play 5-a-sides or possessions and feed the bear, give the bear the ball. But he'd do it, and then he'd come in on a Monday, steamboat still a little bit from the weekend. But he was a great lad, and he was great to have about the place.
Because he said on the episode that we did with him that he got the job, and he was literally he went in the office and he was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Right, did that come across amongst the players?
Thing is, he had the respect of everybody
Yeah.
because of what he'd done. And he'd soon as punch you in the face as tell you how to play the game. Like he's one of those, if you weren't doing the job, he would have you up against the wall. Like, he's old-fashioned centre-half. And
An old-fashioned player in general.
Yeah. And like his style of player as well, he was a hard-nosed centre-half, and it went into his coaching side of things as well. But we just had that many coaches in and out, and I think that was the essential downfall.
And Ian Holloway, were you there?
Ollie was brilliant. Great guy. Like, one of the nicest, best banter you'll have from a coach.
He's more Coach Carter than Rudy. Was it Rudy, the one that...
Yeah.
Randy?
Yeah, Rudy, yeah.
Randy?
Randy Rudy, that's the blue version.
Because it didn't go well from there, did it?
No,
It sounds like it didn't go well for fucking many, to be honest.
He was dealt a shit hand, Ollie was. Martin Allen started this third season I was there.
He's another one in the 10.
So the 07-08 season, Martin Allen took over. A lot of questionable signings made. All through one agent. It happens.
Who's the agent? The ability or the questions in the fact that they all got the same agent?
Willie Mackay, was it?
I'm pretty sure it was him.
Yeah.
But we signed an Iranian right back, 5'3", 100-pound soaking wet, to play championship football. We signed a Dutch prodigy who came through at Ajax and had played about 5 professional games in 6 years. We signed a goalkeeper from Denmark who had massive gambling debts, and the club signing fee was paying off his gambling debts.
Was this all coming from the chairman?
Was it Mandrich then? Sorry.
It was Mandrich at the time, yeah.
Because I'm sure I read that Martin Allen left because he wanted to sign Hasselbank, and he said, "No, I'm not signing him. He's gone."
At the time, like, you're thinking about it, and you've got players like, not blowing our own trumpets, but me and Matty Fry at the time were playing every week, scoring goals, and then they go and sign. No disrespect, he's a really good friend of mine back when we were playing, and DJ Campbell from Birmingham. And Deej was a goal scorer. But you've got the likes of me and Matty Fry back then on like 2s and 3s a week, and you're bringing in somebody on 15s and 18s who's played half the amount of games we've played, and it's a tough one.
That's when you start, and if you're playing in the team and he's on that and he's not playing in the team, that's when you start.
It's a tough one to take.
This is a wind up.
It's a tough one to take, and that's no disrespect to Deej, because you obviously got offered a contract, you've snapped their hand off.
Did that happen all over the pitch as well, not just up front? Did the sign players on big money?
Bruno and Gotti come in from Birmingham.
Bruno and Gotti,
great guy, but again, not a player we needed. Hardly played. You're bringing in the goalkeeper and this right back and this player from Holland. These guys are on like 3-year contracts on 6-7 grand a week.
And nowhere near the team.
Never played a game. I think they had a handful of games between the three of them. And you can see it in training, like they're not quite there. And you know what they're on, or the region of what they're on, and you've got players playing every week.
Do you know when the term losing the change room? I think that's one of the main things when players think, fuck me, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I think we'd finished 14th, 15th the season before, and then obviously that was Nigel finishing the season, so his contract was only for 8 games, so he'd gone on. I think he got the Northern Ireland job after that. I believe, but so they changed in the summer. Martin had a good season at Brentford the year before, so like, oh, we'll bring him up, and hey, I got on well with him. And I still do, and like, you get the odd message off him here and there. And
what's he like? What's he actually?
He is what he is. He's mad dog. He's pre-season was up in Scotland. Like, guys are running into the water, and we North Sea and all that shit. And it was what it was. Like, it's hard.
Do you think it was
anything that people go on about what he did? I think the fact that he'd moved up a level. And he's at a club like Leicester, he kind of had to rein it in a bit.
So he's not. Do you think it were an act with him?
No, he's loopy. You knew he had that trigger, but his training was okay. It wasn't anything over the top, but like when we got back after the pre-season, he had the guys going round. He goes, "All right, day in the life of a normal person now." So you had guys going to work in the ticket office and guys cleaning the change rooms and guys going round doing the
What job did you get?
Jobs round. I was lucky. I got the ticket office. That's not bad.
On the board.
Cleaning a fucking shitter. I couldn't do that.
Do you have a quick piss break?
Yeah, I'm doing it away. Did you have Pearson as well? Nigel Pearson? No.
He came out in the press. So when we got relegated, we'll get to that. No, this is the only story with Ollie that is like a memorable one. Is the January transfer window. We were fighting relegation. Are we?
Laid it in.
I just did.
Just did.
Oh, did you?
All right. Well.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know it started.
All right. Cheers for paying attention, John. No, we'd obviously we were with what had gone on with Martin Allen and his team, and we were struggling. And this is where leading into Ollie is, as great a guy as he was only at Plymouth beforehand, and I think it was a step too far for him right away. And not a blight against him, like he was class with all of us, but I think it was just a step too far going from Plymouth, where he was flying, to Leicester City, who were struggling and getting given X amount of money, and he gets given like January war chest of 5 million quid or whatever.
So do you think they gave him too much?
But
when he'd not been used to spending it,
with all that money, he needed to clear. They're like, you need to clear the decks first. So to pay up these players that we'd said come in on 5, 6, 7s on 3-year deals, he had to pay them up.
Right.
So he's given 5 million quid, and he's got to spend bloody 3 of that getting rid of players.
Yeah.
It's mad that, innit? You get given 5 million quid and you've got to spend half of it over half of it getting rid of fucking shite.
It's one of those, and that's what Ollie's got to come in and deal with.
Yeah.
And it was a hard one, and then you get to the end of the January window and he sits us all down, deadline day, sits everyone down, and he goes, I've spoke to the owner, I've spoke to the rest of the club, the chief exec, all that. He says, is everyone in here with me? Are we here to fight to save the club? And everyone's sitting inside Leicester's training ground, inside the gym. Everyone's like, yeah, 100%. Gaffer, we're here. Let's do this. He's like, fucking brilliant. That's what I needed to hear.
And everyone's behind him.
Every single player. And he goes, listen, if you're not, tell me. He goes, I won't hold it against you. It won't be personal. He goes, come into my room. We'll talk. We'll go from there. Everyone's like, nah, we're in it. Gaffer, let's fucking get out of this. Because a club like Leicester, everyone wanted to play for them. It was a massive club.
Well, they've done so well for so many years before that as well, haven't they?
Exactly. And that was it. And as soon as that happens, so at the time, Preston were in again for me during the January window, and that was Irvine.
Yeah.
So he's on the phone. He's wanting to bring me in to play with you and Mel's and all that. And it was, I think you might have just gone there. 08?
No, you wouldn't have done. If it was the year Leicester went down, you signed that like.
Oh yeah, so you were still.
I was still doing 13.5k at Stoke.
but that was it, and everyone sat down. We're like, yes, Ollie, we're in. Gaffer, we're going for it. So I go home, and I'm like, me and the missus, because the possibility of going to Preston again, looking at houses and like, where can we go halfway between here and Preston, and let's see what happens. Get home, speak to the missus. So first thing I said, I walk through the door, keys on the table. Chris, listen, Preston's off. We're staying till the end of the season. Let's get this done. Okay, no problem. Literally, I must have just taken my next breath. Phone rings. The club secretary. He goes, you know what's happening, right? I haven't got a fucking clue. So what do you mean? I've said I've just finished a half an hour ago meeting with Ollie. The whole team, everyone's in. Oh, well, the chairman's just accepted 400 grand for you. So I'm like, all right, well, this is Andrew Neville, the Leicester club secretary. I'm like, well, leave it with me. I'll get back to you. So I call Ollie. I said, Ollie, what the fuck's going on, mate? He goes, what do you mean? He didn't know either. So they've just accepted 400 grand. He goes, call you back. Hangs up. 5 minutes later calls me back, goes, if you want to go, fucking go. He goes, get the hell out of here. He goes, because this guy's going over the top of me. Mandrich, going over the top of me. We'd agreed it with them. We've told them that we're all in it together. And he accepts a bid. He goes, if you want to leave and it's right for you and the family, fucking go. I'm like, listen, I'm staying. I said, I've told you I'm staying. I'm not going to go back on that now. He goes, sounds good to me. Let's go.
So you, where were this $400 from? Preston?
Mm-hmm. So I was. They knew what I was on wage-wise at Leicester. It was pretty much all set.
Matched.
I'm like, nah, I've given my
Was
word.
was that the Ollie factor? Or was that you being a bit of a stubborn bastard thinking, I've just been in this meeting and we've all said, right, we're in it together, and that fucking arsehole Mandrich is trying to sell me. Fuck him.
And that falls in line with everything that you hear about Mandrich as well. Like you said, that conveyor belt of managers of it, and we're saying of him interfering.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a love for the club as well. I really enjoyed playing for Leicester, and we'll go on to this in a second, but that's the biggest mistake in my career. Leaving Leicester. But again, we'll go on to that. But it was just, and the fact I'd given Ollie my word, and
but he, to be fair, you've given him your word, but
you've not gone behind his back, have you?
In fairness to him, you weren't stitching him up. If he said, "Look, if it's right for you or your family, get your sent out of here."
Yeah, I understand that, but the fact that I'd given my word and I was enjoying myself and I'd enjoyed playing for the club, and the family were relatively settled. My youngest had just started nursery and all that, so it was. Well, my only daughter at the time, had started nursery, so it was kind of a, you know what, I'm not going again, I'm not moving again right now, I'm enjoying it, let's just get out of this shit and then we'll reevaluate. And obviously, shit went from worse to worse, and we ended up getting relegated, and that was the hardest part. But then at the end of the season, finding out that the club had a copy of my contract that was different to the copy of the contract that I had, where you get a call at the end of the season, okay, devastated anyways, we've just been relegated. I'm booking my holidays, got ready to go to Disney World with my daughter, 2.5-year-old, 3-year-old, buzzing, just to switch off. And I'm, Hume, can you come in and see us in the office? Like, yeah, no worries. So I'll go in. Your wages have cut in half for next season, and I've got my contract with me. Like, they're different. So yours says that my wages are cut in half, whereas mine don't.
And that's the one that you've signed.
They've both got my signature. So it's like, this is what baffled me, was my agent and myself had this copy, the club had this copy. So I'm like literally just signing, it was my first big wage rise, and I'm like, it wasn't
first proper
it wasn't massive, but it was compared to what I'd been used to. So I signed it because obviously I signed on a lesser contract when I first signed for Leicester, started doing really well, got offered a new deal,
and earned a new one,
earned this one, and then it goes round and I buy into a new mortgage. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to plump money into the house. Let's just, what X amount, 50% of my contract will go into the mortgage. Let's just get money off this mortgage. And then I hear this and I'm like, I can't do that. I literally can't do it. And then I'm hearing that they've offered other players who were getting interest from other clubs to stay on their contract without reverting to the 50% wage drop. And then I spoke to my agent, told them, because these players had told me this. Like, listen, they've offered me this. I'm like, all right, well, speak to my agent, speak to the club. I said, well, I know you've offered A and B to stay on their contract without reverting to the 70% or the 50% off their wages. Like, oh no, we haven't done that. I said, well, they've fucking told me. They've literally showed me that you guys have offered this. Oh, well, we haven't done that. I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to fucking go then. So unless you're willing to revert to my old contract, I can't financially stabilize my family here with that. So then I'm going.
The two contracts.
Was it like a fraud thing or?
No, I remember after I'd signed my contract that they said, "Oh, there's something you need to come in and sign," But it was the same contract, just it must have had a clause.
They changed the clause.
So whether it's they missed out the clause,
Yeah, so you've gone back
but I've gone in and
thinking it's the
in
same
good
contract.
faith, just thinking, okay, yeah, I just need to sign that, and I must have done that. But
Yeah.
my contract, they never gave me the copy of that. My contract that I had on file, because I'm kind of a stickler about, like I've still got all my wage slips from when I was Tranmere. My first time round, I've got fucking nearly 18 years worth of wage slips still in my file. I was literally going through them the other day, and it's kind of funny seeing.
So it weren't. So you
Can't find last week's gas bill, mate.
I haven't got them, but I've got my contract.
As long as I know where my fucking passport is, that's all I'm bothered about. Passport, bank card, fuck right. So it weren't like a fraudulent thing where they'd just made a new contract up. You'd just literally signed something without realising what you were signing.
But they've been a
I
bit
just
naughty.
thought it was a little bit naughty because they hadn't.
They hadn't said what
And
it was
this-
that you were signing. They just
Yeah.
said, "Oh, we need this new copy signing."
Yeah,
And they haven't
But you-
said, "Oh, but with a clause in."
Yeah, you agree with your agent. You know if you get relegated. Every contract that I've signed, the agent says, "Listen, if you go down,
but
it's 25%."
but see, mine never had that. That the one that I had in
copy
front of
that
me
you
never
Yeah,
had that.
so they've been naughty by not.
Saying, "Oh,
saying
well, by
it.
the way, this
I'm
is the
giving
wage."
you a copy.
So what they've done is they've realised
Or my
that
agent.
Yeah.
your contract that you've got's not got it on, and thought, oh fuck, if we do go down, and then they thought, I tell you what, we'll just get him in just to sign it without him really knowing. So it is fucking. It's not fraudulent, but it is.
It's naughty.
It's underhanded. It's
fucking-
not here.
But
It's filth, isn't it? Really,
Again.
it's filth.
that kind of dampened a very fucking wet situation because we'd just been relegated.
Because there was a couple of messages from Leicester fans saying that obviously when you went down, I think you'd said that, "Oh yeah, I'll be staying, no problem.
That
Don't
was-
worry, I love playing for the club. I want to stay."
And that reverts back to
that
this.
I'm assuming that's before
Yeah.
you found out about the contract.
100%. And that's the thing is, I had said that I didn't want to go, and I honestly loved every minute there. Apart from that last game against Stoke, I loved every minute at that club.
Yeah, we've got that in common, me and Hume. I mean, that on the same day that Leicester went down, we were playing Leicester at home. So I've got promoted that day, and Hume's got fucking relegated.
And it was, and like we were talking about before, it was one-way traffic. We just couldn't score, and
We got battered, aye.
it was a tough one to take, and I had no thought in my mind that I was leaving.
Thing is, though, it sounds a bit like, because from what you were saying, you weren't one of the top earners. If they really wanted you to stay, you'd have thought they'd have just gone, right, we'll give
Get
you.
rid of it.
I'd have thought.
That clause.
rid of
Do you know what I mean?
50.
So that, if it was me, and I'm thinking, well, you don't really want us anyway. Because
And then the fact that the thing that I'm amazed at is when they sold me in the summer, they sold me for 1.2. When 5 months before, when I was a championship player in a championship club, they'd accepted 400.
Yeah.
So
if they've already got that deal in place with Barnsley, with it.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't. That was the mad thing during the summer. I'm walking around Disney World with my daughter, 35-degree heat, sweating my tits off, with one of those prams, and my phone's going off every half hour, 45 minutes from my agent, saying Barnsley have offered. They started out with 175 grand or something, and got laughed out, and it kept going on for a couple of days. Ended up going up to 1.2.
it's quite a rise, that.
It is. It's a considerable
Ridiculous,
rise.
ridiculous, and
I'm no mathematician, but that's over 100% rise. That.
yeah, it was,
You like to think yourself
it was ridiculous, and it was as much as shit hit the fan at Barnsley. Because I didn't really want to go, I tried to price it out.
Right.
So with my contract, and
Well, even though, just going back to that then, so were you aware of the 50% drop here?
at this time, yeah, this
You
is
are.
why I
so,
was.
but you were still of the thought process of trying to price it out.
I was trying to still work with Leicester to see if they'd change.
Right.
So I'm going through the summer on the hope. Okay, my contract. So
They'll
like
get rid of
I'm going on holiday. This is end of May, so I've still got June and July, or June, before my contract reverts to 50% drop. So I'm trying to work things out with Leicester, and they're not budging. And then I didn't want to agree a move right away when I could possibly still have a month left to change it.
Mm.
And
So basically, Barnsley upping their offer, we're killing you at Leicester. Effectively.
In a way. And like listen, the Barnsley fans were incredible with me. Obviously didn't know what was going to happen 8 months later or 6 months later, but I was kind of trying to price them out of a deal.
Yeah, but
So going in and saying, well, when my agent finally called me and said they've accepted a deal, gone to one plus VAT was exactly what he said. So went to 1.2, and he goes, "What do you want?" So I'm like, "Well,
I'll go
I
then.
don't really want to go."
Mm.
He goes, "Yeah, but they've accepted a deal. They've accepted this." So I'm like, "Okay, well, tell them I want this." Calls me back half hour later. Yes. I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
oh no, but
You're
yeah,
supposed to
yeah,
be pleased,
no,
mate.
yeah,
No,
no, well, I don't know if I'm happy or sad or fucking what I am.
No disrespect to Barnsley. It wasn't at all. It was.
You best be
didn't-
careful here, Ian.
Uh,
That's my team, love.
I'm biting my tongue a bit, but no, I wasn't in my head. I don't think I was ready to go, and I had a lot, especially dropping down with a club the size of Leicester. I think in my head I had a lot to prove. We're too good for that, and I think the way it panned out for them the season after. If I was involved in that, fucking.
Yeah.
Because they end up, Matty Fryatt, one of my best mates at the time, he ends up scoring 32 goals or something like that. Stevie Howard scores 18, Andy King scores 15 or something from midfield, and they piss the league. If I was a part of that, they got bought out by the Ties the season after. So I've gone from being one of the main players for a club in a struggling season. If I'd have gone down a division with them, with the same team, and been one of the stars, and it goes to these guys getting taken over and they're bringing in players on 10s and 15s and 20s.
Where could it have gone for you?
For me, where could it have gone?
Did you see it as a step down? Even though you're
staying in the Championship, it was a step down.
Yeah.
I think on the grand scheme of things, when you compare size of clubs, regardless of the league level, I think, yeah. I think because I'd made such a good name for myself at Leicester, even with the relegation. I had such a good rapport with the fans, and having to start afresh at a club who had been fighting relegation. Obviously, they were fighting relegation with Leicester the season we went down.
Managed to stay up.
Managed to stay up last.
So obviously not winning to figures, but do you know your Leicester contract that got halved was Barnsley a better contract than
Yeah.
the
Barnsley's
one
the best contract of my career.
That softens the blow then, doesn't it?
with a big
Yeah,
club?
no, it does,
With
it
a big
does.
club.
It does. And in hindsight, when I look at how the next 6 months went, I fucking needed it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect to fracture my skull in November.
Yeah.
And that changed my whole career. Literally my whole career. Because I've still to this day, bloody 11 and a half years on, I'm still getting asked if my head's okay. Played 300 games since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, my head's fucking fine. Maybe not mentally, but I've got a few screws loose. But on a whole, after 8 months, my head was right as rain. It just looks daft.
Because I remember speaking to you when I first met you at Preston. You were still quite, because obviously it was a big legal
Raw.
case.
Yeah, it was
And
still.
you hadn't forgiven him.
No, I never will fucking forgive him, because you get smashed in games, and you two know the exact feeling I'm thinking is you get smashed in games so many times, but you know you give back when you get an opportunity. And I'm not talking dirty, but this wasn't a challenge. This wasn't whoops, I didn't mean to.
I can't really remember the incident. Have you gone up for a header?
I've not jumped. Ball's clipped in from Bobby Assel right back, and I've come off, or I've gone to come off. Ball's been clipped in, and he stood where Parky is. The ball's coming in that way. He's looked over his shoulder, fucking cracked me one,
Saw you coming.
and headed it without jumping. So he's not had to jump, so he can't blame me. He's jumped up. None of that shit. He's looked, gone crack, and headed it standing still.
It's because there's a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. Defenders,
Yeah, but there's going like that and heading it, and then there's looking and swinging and then heading it.
yeah.
And if you watch everyone who has played with me or whatever has probably seen the video, or been a fan of a team that I've played for, probably seen the video. There's no chance, there's no intent. Hey, listen, and I'm not being a dick about that. There's no way he's meant to do what he's done. I know that, but he's meant to fucking hurt me.
Yeah.
And whether it's a cut eye or fucking,
I think he's meant to leave his mark.
Yeah, and I'd never ever, and I'd like to think nobody in football would ever go to do what he's done. And I'm not saying he's tried to hurt me the way he has, but he's meant to fucking hurt me. Him and God rest his soul, Ugo Ehiog, that game were smashing the shit out of me for the first 25 minutes. And I spoke to Andy Durso about it and said, do me a favour and fucking keep an eye on these two. They've been smashing me all over the place. And then you've got all the rubbish going on about Blackwell and Warnock and all that, saying, oh, he's that type of striker, he jumps into the centre half. So piss off. What, your 6'4" centre half can't handle a fucking fight with a 5'8" striker? And I'm giving myself an inch there.
Well, that's fucking hell.
All my medicals say 5'8". I'm happy. No, but
I think
that was their whole story. Was, oh, he's the type of player, he ruffles feathers with centre halves. Of course I do. I'm fucking 6, 7, 8 inches smaller than you.
You've got to put yourself apart.
I've got it. But
I've seen the video and it's one of them where, same as what you were saying then, it's like, it does look bad. It does look bad, doesn't it? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I've seen it at the time, but I can't remember the exact incident. But one of my mates it's recently happened to him, but it was innocuous. Corey Evans fractured his skull, and it was just from a kick, and it doesn't even look that bad. But his nose ended up going 2 centimetres into his head, and so he at the time was fearing that whether he was going to play again. Yeah, and thankfully he's going to.
Yeah,
and I think the same as what Yumi said. Then I think when you said I'd like to think he were. 100% he would not have wanted to do that.
Yeah, like we know what Morgs is like.
Yeah,
you've played against him.
I play with him.
He's a horrible old-fashioned centre half, and he would have made sure you knew you were in a game.
Yeah,
he would smash you, and he'd make sure he caught you with something, whether it knee, foot, arm, whatever. Goes up for a header. If he sees you there, he's having a bit. And he was an old-fashioned centre half. He was a Steve Bruce-esque, Pallister. These guys who go in and they make sure they win the fucking
ball. If they've
ball.
got a chance of leaving one on you, they'll leave one on you.
What was it like after? Did he come and see you?
They fuck. I got a text message when I played Gainsborough Trinity pre-season after. I came on sub for 8 minutes or something like that. I wasn't supposed to play. I was just involved. Came on sub. First thing I did was head the ball. You remember? Did you play with A.D. Moses?
Yes, I remember playing with Warrior.
A.D. played at Gainsborough, and I'd played against A.D. so many times through Barnsley and that. And ball's got free kick on the corner flag, and I've just come on. Ball's put in, jumped, head it. A.D. looks at me and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I said, "Heading the ball." He goes, "You need to be careful there, son." I said, "Fuck off, Aid." We're running back to balls. I've just put it over the bar, and running back to obviously goal kick and all that, and he's fucking chirping at me. "What are you doing, you fucking dickhead?" Like, no, just shut up. I'm fucking playing now. But I got a text message after that. Great to see you back playing. Hopefully we can sit and have a beer over this sometime. Fucking took you 8 months to send me that.
Did you reply?
Yeah, fuck.
I'm surprised he hasn't gone to see him straight after.
Mrs. deleted it off my phone.
I'm surprised he hasn't.
I don't know whether I don't know whether he's tried calling the hospital or not. I don't know.
Did you wake up in the hospital?
No. I went home. I was told by the doctor. See, this is where all of the FA's concussion protocol changed. That date.
Mm-hmm.
So the incident's happened. The physio's come on.
Bless him, Craig Sedgwick.
I mean, YTS was said.
I felt bad for him because it was his first ever professional game.
He'd only been starting.
He was the assistant. He was the assistant physio. So the first team physio had a wedding to go to. This was literally his first ever professional game.
Jesus.
So he's come on with me, and there's photos, and he's walking me off, and all that when I'm holding the side of my head, and that's his first ever game.
How were you feeling at that point of walking
Felt
off
like
the
somebody
field?
pierced my eardrum. Literally felt like somebody put a needle right through my eardrum.
So it's happened. You've gone down.
I wasn't knocked out.
Said just come on. Says the physio's come on. He's assessed you and he said, right, you need to come off.
Well, no, we've walked off to the side, and I'm like that, and I just said to him, I said, yeah, I can't do it. I said, agony, like literally felt like a needle right through my eardrum, and
Obviously worse than anything
I've ever
smash
had.
you've ever had
Anything
before.
I've ever had. Like I've got fucking scars all over me. Like I played with you at. Did you play the Swindon game before Christmas do, Donny?
Who was manager?
Dino?
Yeah.
When that happened. I'm walking around Dublin with 8 stitches in the side of my head. See,
Still busting the moves.
We'll get there. But yeah, it's the worst pain I've ever had. I've snapped my cruise shit. Worst pain I've ever had. It just felt like somebody'd stabbed me right smack in the middle of my eardrum. And when I went into I said to Sedgy, like, I think it was like 30 minutes, half an hour into the game, 33 minutes, something like that. That's me, done. So I've gone into the change room and I'm showering and all that, and it's eased off a bit, and then all of a sudden, shower going over, and all of a sudden it's like, bang, something's just fucking gone in my head, and I can feel, and I've sort of lost all sort of balance and whatever, and got eased off again, went and got dried off, put my suit back on, go sit in the physio room waiting for them to come in at half time. Come in at half time, they have a look at me and they're like, oh, it looks like a little bit of concussion. I'm like, okay.
Was it Doc Arbon here?
Yeah. He's a fucking dickhead, him. He disappeared off the face of the earth after that. Fucking little shitbag. But it sends me home with concussion. Could have sent me to the hospital. Not like there's not a hospital close.
Yeah, I know.
Instead, my father-in-law drives me home. So he drives me home and...
Back to Loughborough?
No, at the time, we lived in Greenfield.
Right, yeah.
The other side of the moors. So we lived just outside of Saddleworth. So we go back and felt a little bit iffy on the way home, and get home, suit off. It's the first ever game my wife and daughter haven't come to, because it was my daughter's first school birthday party.
So
it was just me and my father-in-law that went, and he comes to every home game whenever they were around. So drive back to mine. Miss is still at the party. Go upstairs, suit off, straight to bed, like lay there, out cold. Mrs. comes in, I'm laying on top of my phone, I've got whatever, I'm not talking. Comes to the next, and I'd mumble to her and whatever, just acknowledge that she's there. Pretty much slept through, so that was about 7 o'clock by the time we got home. Slept through to the Sunday, and tried to bring me up some toast and some drinks and all that, and still hiding my phone. But I'm, not using it, just hiding it underneath the mattress and whatever. And then father-in-law starts talking to me, and I'm just chatting gibberish, something like, when are we going to next go out and play 16 holes of golf and all that. Me and him played golf quite a lot at the time, and he goes down and sees my wife and says, something's not right. So all of a sudden we're like, okay, well, we'll go to the hospital. Went to the hospital, going to Tameside Hospital, which is our local one, and they did all the triage and they did all the tests, and they just said, oh, it looks like major concussion. Just be careful and don't take tablets, don't do this, don't do that, just follow protocol. And they discharged me. So all they did was check my eyes and fucking balance and all that, and they discharged me, and as I'm walking out, just start spewing up. Alarm bells ring for them. Shit. Rush me in, and the whole left side of my brain was covered in blood. So my temple had shattered inwards, and there was no swelling, which is when you break a bone, normally something pops up, and there was nothing. No depression, no swelling. So it kind of just looked normal. But now I've got no bone there. So none of that was visible to them, and they discharged me, and as I was walking out, like I said, threw up.
That's probably saved you.
Panic. Well, exactly. They said if I'd have walked out the door, I probably would have died within a couple hours. So they rushed me in, CT, obviously see that fractured skull, rushed me in, operation. Then next 8 days in hospital. Operation was on November 10th. Yeah, November 10th. And I was back jogging with the physio just after Christmas.
Think you needed to do that?
I was going fucking stir crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, I loved it, and it was brilliant because we had the snowstorms, and my wife was pregnant, and it was one of those things. It was, or she'd just come pregnant. It was one of those things that
Didn't stop you shagging then, did it?
the old pressure to the brain. Had to keep the heart rate down.
Bit of exercise.
Yeah, but it was great to be at home because it made me reevaluate things that were more important, and just obviously having missed out on a lot with playing obviously 5-6 days a week and then playing
especially if
international
somebody's
football.
telling you that a couple more hours and you could have died as well.
Yeah, but it's I think that's the stubborn side of me.
Mm-hmm.
Is I was told like, oh, Petr Cech's tried to get in touch with you, and
Yeah.
he sent a letter to the club saying if I needed to speak to him and all that, and I just no, I don't. I'm stubborn as shit, and with them saying, oh, you need to maybe think about wearing a helmet. Fuck off. I'm a fucking hockey player.
So there wasn't any doubt in your mind that you wanted to play again?
Never. As soon as I knew
Was you
that,
giving any advice?
they just said, if you do want to continue playing, we recommend that you wear a helmet or one of those padded. Nah,
Is it even though the fact that it's your brain, it's like breaking your leg. If once it's healed, there's as much chance of breaking your leg again as
That's
fracturing
exactly
your
how
skull
I
again.
said to everybody who's ever asked me, is how did you come? They say, how did you come back from that? Said, this was a lot easier to come back than my ACL. You do your ACL, you know yourself.
Yeah.
It's protocol. You cannot push past that. You cannot do anything that's out of your comfort zone. With my head, as soon as it was healed, it's healed.
We always put the question out, and one of the replies I saw was, "There's no questions, but he's a warrior of a bloke." That's all he said. And I think it's
Just
true.
a horrible little shit.
just like you just done your cruise at 33 and you still want to get back. I think you just love
And
football, don't you?
Like I said to you before, I've just had another up on my knee. The likelihood is I'm not going to continue playing, but that's not through the want to continue playing. Like I want to play until I'm bloody 50.
You talk about the physical recovery and then the mental recovery in terms of returning to football and wanting to return to football. Did the lack of disciplinary action affect you?
Against him?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lack of belief in the justice system, especially with the FA. I think that pissed me off massively, because when the club put in an appeal against it, that he should have been red carded, and they said we can't make retrospective decisions when the guy's been yellow carded, and it's not in the match report. But contradicting themselves, in the same day, Didier Drogba got a pound coin thrown at him, picked it up and threw it back in the crowd. Don't know if you remember that. When he was, don't know if he'd gone for a throw-in or a corner or something like that, and he got hit by a pound coin, picked it up and launched it back in the crowd. Ref booked him. 3-game ban by the FA. Same day. Exact same day that it happened. And then you have our lads played Notts Forest next weekend, and Andy D'Urso was the fourth official. He was the match official in our game. He spoke to Simon Davey, and Simon Davey spoke to me afterwards, said, I've spoke to D'Urso, said he didn't put it in his match report because he doesn't want to be subpoenaed if it goes to court. So I'm looking back at it, and I bumped into D'Urso a couple of years later and said, you're a fucking dickhead, you are.
So he wouldn't want to throw Morgan under the bus?
He didn't know, but he didn't want to go to court.
He didn't want to
put it in his match report that he thought that this happened,
basically.
that it could have been more than what he gave, because if it goes to court, he's got to go and follow that up.
So what was, like, obviously with the whole incident, what would your not perfect outcome, but what outcome would you have been happy with?
Not getting fucking elbowed.
Yeah, but do you know, like as you
No.
said, there's everything that's gone on after it and what court case and everything. What would you have been your ideal
If it
ending?
were just.
If he never went to court. It was a whole civil thing, and I was told I should have gone criminal, but I didn't want that. I didn't. At the end of the day, and I've said this to my wife, my family, and all that. I play football. I'm in the line of fire all the time when it comes to chance of injury, head, leg, body, whatever. If he'd have come up to me, if he'd have come up to the hospital, if he'd have made an effort to come and visit me or call me and get a hold of me, and not just settle for, oh well, he's not taking calls, and not try until 8 months later. If he'd have made an effort, I think it would have been just a, yeah, I know you didn't mean it. Like, if he'd
Yeah,
have
I'm
showed,
pleased you've said that, mate.
if he'd have showed a human side of it,
Yeah.
and just like fucking a bit
I
of,
wonder if he were getting.
I felt, and the worst, you know what,
Stuff
the
from
fucking worst thing
Warnock
was?
or whatever.
You know, Warnock can fuck right off. But you know the worst thing about it, and the thing I felt the most terrible about, was hearing that he'd had a brick put through his window. Because he lived in Penistone.
Yeah.
He had a brick put through his window by a Barnsley fan. And he had kids. He had young kids at the time. That's the worst. That was the problem at the time for me, was knowing that what had happened between us and this is a Barnsley lad. He's from fucking.
Yeah,
he's from the area.
Yeah.
For a brick to get thrown through his family window, whether it's true or not, but hearing that hurt me more than fucking anything.
It's almost a case of, even though you two were involved in it, directly involved, you almost should have stuck together,
Yeah.
in a way, and come out and he should have apologised to you, apologised maybe publicly, and
But
then it would have just been done. None of that would have
If
happened.
that had happened right away, then it would have been perfect. The thing that dampened my respect a bit for him as a pro was the next season, because Sky, they organised, schedules came out. I think it was the November, I think it was literally a day after, I think it was November 11th or November 9th, sorry, a year to the date, at Barnsley.
Barnsley Sheffield again.
He was suspended, I was injured. They were devastated. They put it on Sky, didn't they? So we then played at Bramall Lane, and both starting, both had a battle, normal battle, and then I get subbed off just after the hour. And the thing that pissed me off the most was when I'm going off, and he comes up and goes to shake my hand and goes, "Let's make it look good for the camera." And that was what he said to me as I was walking off. And he shook my hand. And I think that's the thing that made me lose. Listen, I don't know him. I don't really give a shit what's going on. But that made me lose a massive element of professional respect. Because, listen, we can't go back and change what had gone on. Could have changed the way things were, like I said, the way things were held or handled afterwards. But for him to come and say that, I just thought to myself, you know what? There's no point making an effort to try and be civil about things anymore.
Yeah.
And I just washed my hands of it. And I know it's horrible, but he ended up having to retire through injury not long after.
Yeah. He's one of them players that I always think, he'll go into a game, he'll kick the shit out of you, you'll kick the shit out of him, but you'll shake his hand and you'll have a pint after the game. So that's why it surprised us a little bit. Because I thought he'd be one of the first.
I thought so. And I think, like I said, I think that's what upset me the most about the whole situation, was if he'd made a bit more of an effort. But I think that was the thing that upset me the most about the whole situation, was how it was handled. But again, it's 11 and a half years ago.
So obviously we what happened, well, Barnsley good as goal were you? What were there?
Yeah, brilliant. The fans especially, like when I was in hospital, Simon came in, and I don't know if it was the same Reverend that was there when you were
Yeah,
there.
still there now. Pete. Pete Amos.
Yeah, he came in with Simon, and they brought in a big like flip chart. Simon
Davey, the manager.
Right.
So they brought in a massive flip chart. It must have been thousands of signatures and notes, and still got them at home.
Well,
now.
best wishes, like, and
Just speedy recovery and like just everything. Well wishes.
nice folk, aren't we?
Yeah,
Barnsley folk.
yeah. It was. I wish I was able to prove more.
To repay the.
Just to repay the faith and the support that they always did, and obviously the money they spent. I know it was like I scored, I think it was 4 goals and 14 before I got injured. Threw in a red card in there as well.
They'll appreciate that more than a goal, I think.
Was that your
Some of the
debut?
Barnsley fans.
That was my home debut, yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Mifsud. Little prick. ended up coming in when I was out. Well, the next season when I was in and out the team, he came in. But he'd been a chirpy little shit. First home, it was my home debut. So my away debut, from my debut for the club was at QPR scored. Home debut against Cov. And he was doing well at the time. And he was just one of those, and I've gone into a tackle with him and he's flopped. So I got booked, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. And he's just looking at me, like giving all that, fucking got you booked, blah, blah, blah. So about, like to say, about 45 minutes later, he's took a short corner. So he's on the corners, took a short one, they've left him short.
Thought, look,
I'm like, I've got to go.
this is my chance. This
I'm
is my
like,
chance
I'm
to
going,
smash him.
and I've took the lot. I've took the ball, but I made sure I lifted him with me, and I got sent off right by the tunnel. So it was a short walk.
I was going to say,
It was-
old
It was
tunnel
that,
then.
it was that tunnel end. It was a short walk. It was stupid, but kind of worth it. You know, sometimes you think they're like. See, I know Michael's a ledge back home in Malta and that, and he was very good for Cov, but you know when you play against somebody and they just rub you up the wrong way, and
He was one of them.
he with that one.
He was that one.
Yeah. Well, there's been a few.
Do you not think in the same breath though? Are you saying that? Chris Mahone thinking exactly the same thing at the same time, just didn't mean.
Yeah, but
to-
there. Yeah. See, hey, like we said, by all means, leave a mark.
Hmm.
He didn't mean to do that to that extent, but
It's more the
it was
aftermath.
what it was.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what happened. I'm not saying I don't want him fighting with me and doing stuff like that and catching me and whatever. I know he never meant to make it go to the extent it did, and that's it.
Just the same as if you've gone into that tackle with Mifsud.
If I break his leg, I'm fucking devastated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't mean to do it.
No, exactly.
But
I meant to fucking catch him.
You do mean to leave. You do mean to leave stuff on players.
But I'm sure you, well, both of you, did you guys play in the Cardiff game at Preston when J. Lloyd Samuel done me? Rest in peace. Sorry.
What did we? Was that the 3-0 or the 6-0?
It wasn't 6-0. It was 1-1, I believe.
I might have. In fact, I was at Cardiff then.
When
I'd left, yeah, because J. Lloyd Samuel was at Cardiff with me, so I'd left.
Well, see, he's gone to do me. He's not gone to catch me. He's gone to do me. He's gone in. He's probably 70-30 and slowed right down, and then gone over the ball right down my shin pad, right down. I've got scar right down my shin. He's gone right down. See, they're things that are wrong. You leave. You make sure you go through the lot, and you take the lot. And everyone who's played the game knows they've done that at some point, whether it's training, because I know you never really. Well, I know you didn't put your foot in.
I will admit, I will remember me.
I know you had moments in training where you lost your head sometimes.
Yeah.
And you'd leave something in. I know he fucking
Leave me nose in.
he fucking front post fucking. But you know when you've left something to leave a mark but not do.
There's a difference. I think there's a difference, isn't there?
There's an intent, and then there's just a.
I want to let him know I'm
Listen,
here.
yeah, I'm here. But You get certain like J. Lloyd Samuel top me.
I must have been. I don't know if I was. I don't know if I were on the. I've probably been on the bench, but I were at that game.
Yeah, it was right in front of the benches as well, and the ball's been deflected out, and I've gone chasing, and it's going on to him, and he's gone right over the fucking top.
The only time I've really seen anything where somebody's come out and held their hands up and said I wanted to hurt them was Keane.
Haaland.
You can't. No, it's twice. Derek Greary with me.
You actually want to hurt him?
Yeah, I want to hurt him.
Fuck off. I did. What, because he was taking the piss out of you?
No, we know he weren't taking the piss out of the worry. He was just being a fucking little prick. Told you that I genuinely wanted to hurt him. The only time in my entire career. The one and only. You've seen it twice.
Yeah.
But obviously, the Parkin and Greary incident weren't quite as high profile as Keane Haaland, was
Did
it?
it make your book?
You what?
Did it make your book?
I don't know if it did. I've not read it.
Well,
to be honest
obviously,
with
it wasn't that fucking important.
I know.
Fucking.
I don't know if it did, to be honest.
No, but
Still on sale, by the way.
You're
Just
all.
let you know. Are you going to Canada? You read it on Ways Canada.
But you'd always have those ones where if you track back one time and like fullback's been smashing you a couple of times, you're going to get that opportunity to get a half a tackle in. You make sure you do it. Like you get the odd player who really just rubs you the wrong way, just that little bit, like Tarabd. Great footballer, incredible, and playing for Barnsley, and he was taking the piss out of Bobby Hassel. Like he was drag stepping and doing all this shit, and he was looking at the you come out Loftus Road and turn left towards the mental fans.
Yeah,
he's in the corner doing all this, and he's facing them, and Bobby Hassel's defending the goal, and I'm playing right wing, and he's sort of looking at Bobby like where you are there, and as he's turned, I'm coming back, and as he's took his touch that way, I've just gone fucking whoa. Fucking, when you slide and you take the ball and all.
It's almost as good as a goal, isn't it? If you can get a good one in.
And when it goes well, and you've got the ball, and
you can't get booked for it,
and you've made sure you've cleaned the lot.
Yeah.
And when you get
the way from the Barnsley.
No, it was fucking right in front of their fans. I was getting you dirty little. But I'm getting an old fucking well done Hume from Bobby Hassel. Yeah. Because he's doing all this, and then you come back and you help him out. And I wish I'd done it when we were at Preston. Do you remember when he was playing against Davy Gray?
Oh.
And Davy actually fell over.
Did we get done for that game?
I don't know what it was.
So you were both at Preston when you arrived?
Well, they were both there, yeah. So I joined into them. It was.
What did you think of Fergie?
For me, it was fine. I thought we played. It was horrible for us because we played. I think when I first came out, you were injured or just recovering from injury.
More than likely.
Because it was me and Parky up front when I first come in. Because we played Cov away and then we played Leeds away. That was within 4 days.
But Leeds away? What happened that game?
Fucking one that nobody ever remembers.
What were you going to say about the penalty? What was that situation?
on his hat-trick, Cal Davidson.
Yeah.
My ball, I'm going home.
What was that? You know what we were on about earlier with me saying
when Howie scored.
Howie scored his penalty. Well, obviously I scored 2 goals and it was 4-3 to them. And I got the ball and Cal came up to me, Cal Davidson, and he went, I take the penalties. I says, Cal, I'm on my hat-trick. He says, I take the fucking penalties.
In fairness, though, you didn't grumble about it.
I went, here, have that up, you fucking miss.
You shitbag.
No, I said to him, I said, hope you fucking miss. No, I didn't really. Obviously, he scored it, and then I managed to score again. I was literally fucking raging. You would, wouldn't you? As a striker on a hat-trick.
Yeah.
He was a good penalty taker, though. I'll give him that.
He just smacked
he thought he was Greta, that's why.
He had the same technique, though, didn't they?
Run up the front foot, yeah. Front foot.
Straight run up, Chris. And he could go either way. Was it outside of his...
He literally, same as Greza, straight foot, and then at the last second, he'd sort of just tilt the ankle.
But
it was like a cheat. If you're on FIFA, that's a cheat. Yeah.
You have to pay.
Because
Down, left, right.
You have to pay for them.
Yeah, there's somewhere online you can find a cheat, but it was put it anywhere.
But, mate, I was fucking raging with him. I'll be honest with you, I was raging with him.
But yeah, coming in. So I remember coming into Springies, and Springies had massive rain the first day I come into training. And we hardly trained. We just did boxes on the far side by the sandpit. You know, as you come in and go right away, and they had the sandpit. So we'd had boxes and a bit of possession. And then that was us. I think I'd come in on the Thursday. We travelled to Cov on the Friday. Played the game on the Saturday.
Drew 0-0, didn't we?
No, scored outside of the boot, top of the box, boom. Boom.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this.
Hey.
You enjoy me being you? Is that what you?
That's what I mean. That was some fucking week to debut for a club. Because we had the Saturday at Cov. Obviously, I was getting the abuse that I always got being a ex-Leicester player. So I was getting battered, and then I scored the winner.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, played at Leeds. And that was just one of those.
Did you come to Norwich under Phil Brown? I think we beat them, or did we draw? I'd been injured, but it was my first game back on the bench.
I'd have been there, yeah.
And they were all steaming. Phil Brown, he had... Remember the Irish sports medicine? It was like a...
Oh my
can't remember
God.
his name.
Yeah.
But Phil Brown was steaming during the game.
Degsy. Derek McCarthy.
Yeah, and I've come up. He's told me to get warmed up after about 60 minutes.
He must have been pissed.
And I was just about to come on, and the crowd's gone quite, giving me a bit of shit or whatever, back at Norwich. And he's just shouted at the top of his voice, steaming, "The Brown man on his return to Canary Wharf." You can imagine him saying it, can you? Know that?
I can.
Canary Wharf.
But see, there's obviously there's your mixed opinions, obviously, with Parky and Brownie. But when he come in with me and you, it was fucking brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because we were playing every week, and it was fucking flames.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing well. Didn't keep us up, like, but we fucking tried our damnedest.
What did you think to Chris Brown when you first came in? Do you think you were an arrogant arsehole?
No, the world's best trainer.
Because
he was coming back from injuries. The world's best trainer. In his Copa Mundials.
The world's best.
That's a big compliment.
Mate. Hey, in his Copa Mundials, he was fucking unstoppable, right and left foot. You're watching him thinking, the fuck's he doing here?
Must have been the crowds that got to him or something.
Nobody's ever said that before.
No, seriously, fucking the two years.
Oh, don't fuck with
No. I got the fucking misfortune, I guess, of training with him at Fleetwood on the pitches we were training on, and he was stanching things from fucking 35 yards. And then Springies with you.
You used to make me laugh doing...
I didn't run much, but if I got the ball...
Hey, but he just hit it from anywhere.
Doing the finishing thing, though. I don't know if you were there. You might have been.
This is the
Rooster.
That's another one, though. But like just normal, where you pass it into the assistant, he lays it off and you shoot. And you were having a torrid this one time, and every time, because you had to go and get your ball. If it goes over the bar, get your own ball.
And
you can just see Party guy coming back from the car park with his ball. I'm fucking crap. I am fucking shit.
I have to say 5 times a day.
Yeah, but then he put one in the top corner on a half volley with his left foot, and he go, "How fucking good am I?"
I'll be like that.
The last 5 were over the other field.
I'll be like, I am fucking crap at this game. Why am I still doing this? I am shit.
You didn't get on with West then?
Oh yeah, all right. We can exchange Christmas cards and all that.
We need to. You're probably the first one who can proper out him.
Well, what do you want to know?
Him, didn't he?
Well,
yeah,
do you want to know the first meeting? Well, the first meeting we had a game, and he just took over, and he wanted to meet us before the game. He wasn't involved. He wasn't in charge on the bench because Unzi wasn't, but he wanted to meet us before the game. So we all went into the players' lounge, and he just introduced himself. And this is, I'm sure you'd have heard from Mel's about, oh, my kids call me medal winner and all that.
Oh, came as soon as that, the medal winner.
Yeah, that was early.
His first
that
meeting.
Was first
It
meeting.
was first meeting.
My kids don't call me dad; they call me medal winner. He'd won a fucking conference. Mate, he's played 2 professional games in his
We
career.
keep hearing this story, and it doesn't get less funnier.
No, well, these guys know them. Have you been to the Players' Lounge at Preston? It's 3 times the size of this, maybe, with the bar around the corner. So he sat us all down. We got a squad of youth team, everything, or reserve team and everything. So we had a squad of 40-odd players. And he goes into it and all this, and he's explaining himself and how he wants to do things. And he's like, my kids don't call me dad, they call me medal winner. And everyone's like, the fuck are you on? Like, he'd not met us.
Not even kidding, by the way.
No, is he bollocks? But he's won the fucking conference. Mate, relax. You played fucking 2 professional games in your career and then you got fucked off because you were shit.
Talk about
Here we now we're starting.
No, seriously, I can't stand the guy.
now we're starting.
But then we play the game and I can't remember how the first game went. But it was just one of those. It was... We knew we were... I think I was still out injured and all that, and it was a matter of he was coming back. And we go into training on the Monday, and Springy's on the Astro. So you go into a training ground, you've got all the change rooms, you go in, you've got the gym area with the bikes and everything, and you've got the AstroTurf. So calls us all into the AstroTurf. So we all go in there. And we were sat there half hour. Fucking freezing. Like, it got cold in there when there was no heating on and all that. And we were all sitting there waiting because, like, some of us were getting treatment with Jacko, the physio, and some guys were doing weights and some guys were still getting changed. So I'm sitting there. I'm literally going on half an hour, 45 minutes sitting there. So I thought, you know, fuck it. Arms inside my shirt. Sat there just freezing my ass off. And he walks in. First thing he goes, where's Hume? Fucking hand comes out of his shirt. He goes, like a McDonald's, don't you? I said, excuse me? He goes, you like a McDonald's? I said, not really. Why? I said, prefer KFC. I said, what's the matter? He goes, you carry a bit of weight. I said, yeah, I'm not exactly trim. I said, but I'm not exactly fat either. He goes, do you think that's being a team player? I'm sitting here looking around the lads and I said, I'm willing to bet if you ask any of the lads in this room whether I'm a team player, they'll answer the same thing. Oh, well, I don't think that's being a team player. I said, never fucking had a conversation with the cunt. That's the first thing you do. Whereas Hume, I hear you like a McDonald's. No, I fucking don't.
Yeah, I do, Gaffer, yeah.
But that's how we fucking set things out.
Did he pick other individuals out, or
I can't remember, to be honest. I just completely went blank after that. I've
just bubbling in your
arms
seat?
back in my shirt and thought, you know what, you're a fucking dick.
So instead of saying, right, you and me have a meeting, you might need to lose a bit of timber.
Yeah.
He's good at the old
Hey, you like a Big
sarcastic,
Mac?
like a fucking McDonald's, look, yeah? In front of everybody.
That's the first thing he did. First thing he said in that interview, in that meeting, was, Hume, you like a McDonald's, don't you? Not really.
thing is, talk about losing a dressing room. He's lost a dressing room before he's even played a game.
Oh, but he lost it before
the game. In the meeting.
When the whole fucking medal winner. Bollocks to that, Graham. Like, come on.
Were you there when
Jesus, man.
when the thing at Chef Wed? When
I was
Rhodesy-
fucking right I was there. Mate,
It's funny,
he
that.
played Aaron Brown, the fucking centre-back, up front and sat me on the bench.
So explain what it was something to do with the text one. Or he thought that they knew the team through Rhodesy.
Jordan Rhodes, old fella.
Yeah.
Before the game, he'd come in. Well, when we went out, so we'd name the team.
So Randy
And everyone-
Rhodes still goalkeeper coach here?
Yeah, this is a Chef Wed. So we're playing a Chef Wed. And he hadn't named the team. So we go into the change room and he names a team and everyone's looking around like, the fuck's he doing? Playing a centre half, Aaron Brown, up front. And I'm sitting here like this, like, big, nothing like a centre forward sitting on the bench for a centre half playing up front. Like, it's great. And everyone's just, as soon as he named the team, everyone just went, and just looked at me like, fuck's going on here? And the thing is, we've gone out to the bench and made it even worse was Jordan Rhodes Alfellas, the coach. He's gone, "Hey Graham, we knew your team before the game," and sat back down. So all of a sudden, paranoia's stricken right through. Comes in after the game. "One of you fucking captains told them the team, you guys, I can't trust any of you." And he's looking round, he's looking at all the older players. And looks at me and I'm thinking, I didn't know the fucking team. You think I'd go out and announce that a centre half's playing in front of me? Like, hey, fucking here you go.
Were you involved in the imaginary weights and all that then?
I was. They were heavy. No, because you'd get the lads, and I don't know if you've watched the Danny Mayer bit he did with one of his friends when he was at Bury, and you've got the lads are doing the weights, and he's like, "Oh, come on," he goes, "just pretend it's heavy." What the fuck do you mean, pretend it's heavy? He's like, "Pretend you've got a 50 kilo weight in either arm, and then just get it up to the top," and it. Oh, fucking clown.
Must have been a massive contrast then when you went to Doncaster on loan with Ian Saunders.
Well, I actually had a phone conversation with Dino before I signed. Must have had him. I was literally walking around the garden for about half an hour. And hey,
That's the Dino we know
You
him.
want to sign? Yeah. Oh no.
But he's like, "Hume, how are you?" I'm like, "Brilliant." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm buzzing off my pre-season in the gym." He goes, "Get away from that fucking clown. Come and play football and enjoy yourself." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Have you agreed anything with the club?" "No, I haven't agreed anything yet."
He's probably not even phoned him, do you
He's
know?
like, listen, I want you here. He goes, "We got a good group here." And he was right. What a group of lads we had. And he's like, "I think you'll enjoy it. Training's fun. Plenty of shooting. Plenty of games." He goes, "You Saturday, Tuesday most of the season." He goes, We'll be fine." Fucking a month later, fucking didn't agree anything till deadline day. This was like the first week of the start of the season. So I went
Because he'd not phoned the club.
I went 3.5 weeks of training in the gym waiting for him to call me back.
He'll have forgetting.
And then
Probably would have, wouldn't it?
but then we played Yeovil away. Cops jumped off the bus.
Yeah, he went to
First
Forest.
deadline day, he went to Forest. He goes, "Bring your boots down." He goes, "You won't need them, just drive down." He goes, "We'll meet you at the hotel in Yeovil." So I drove my own car down, boots in the boot of my car, shin pads, gives me a tracksuit and all that. He goes, "All right, come the game." He goes, We'll see how it goes." And drove my own car from the hotel to the stadium. Get there, I'm on the fucking bench. I hadn't touched the ball in a month and a half. We were literally in a gym with no ball. So we were literally doing oxygen chamber work and gym work and all that. Hadn't touched the ball. And the grass at Yeovil's like that. So brings me on fucking half an hour to go. Blowing a gasket. Absolutely breathing through my arsehole. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I just signed for the season then.
Sign on loan for the season.
A full season loan.
Yeah. And then the best part was, well, they beat us at our place. They scored. I think they won 1-0 at our place. We played them at their place. So we went on a run, played them at their place.
At Preston.
And I'm obviously not allowed to play in either game, and we battered them. Was it 4-1?
Yeah.
And I'm stood by their away changing room, bottom of the tunnel. And Dino comes walking down the tunnel, and he knows Wesley's literally right behind him, and he's going, "Okay, what?" He's laughing his tits off, and I'm stood like right there, and he's looking at me, and Wesley's like 3 feet behind him. He's going, "Okay." He's laughing his tits off, looking at me, and Wesley's behind him, no eye contact, nothing, just completely blanked me. And I'm fucking, "Get in, gaffer."
I get the big hug.
Big hug and all that.
Were you on the field for the Brentford game?
I came off. I'd played something like 75 minutes. Came off for Bill.
Yeah.
So were you still on for the goal?
I think I came off not long after you. So I think we went Billy up front on his own.
Yeah. Did he bring Harps on?
Fuck knows, but Billy was on his haunches, on his knees near the dugout.
He had a shirt over his head. He was literally squatted right at the halfway line between the two dugouts with a shirt over his head.
Because there was
So let's
last
just,
kick.
let's
waiting
just
for them to score.
paint the picture for anybody who hasn't heard the Billy Painter episode, for instance.
Long time ago, innit? So
Oh yeah.
So you need to win
No, we need a point,
a point.
and we're 0-0 going into injury
Brentford
time.
win, they go up. We go into playoffs. Bournemouth go up with Brentford. Brentford were third. We were top. Bournemouth was second. So if we lose, Bournemouth got a point at Tranmere. They were playing Tranmere that night. So Bournemouth rushed the pitch at Tranmere. So if they got a point, they went up, or they were going up automatic. Or they were third. Sorry, Brentford was second, and it was that way. Whatever. But they rushed the field. Can we have our trophy yet and all that shit? Can we have brought out fucking blow up trophies and all that shit? After the game, I was so happy on social media. Do us a favour. Good thing you didn't bring that trophy to Preston Park. Do us a favour. Bring it along the M62 to fucking Keepmoat. We're picking it up in the morning.
So in the last minute, it's
It was the last
90
minute.
plus 4, something like that.
yeah. And what
Penalty.
score are we here?
0-0.
so
Penalty.
you're up.
We're up.
And this is the best thing, is the Brentford penalty taker for the last 8 years was Alexander, not Alexander, the right back.
Oh fuck me.
But the right back for them. He's played there for 7, 8, 9 years, something like that. He's been the penalty taker. Every single penalty since he's been at the club, he's taken. Marcelo Trotta on loan from Fulham. No, mine. Taking it. The guys come up to take the pen. No, I'm taking it.
It's a Callum Davison moment.
Yeah, they've had a bit of a set too, haven't they? Before,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
the last thing you want.
Yeah, they've had a bit of an out. No, I'm taking it. All that. Grab the ball, sort of up the shirt. The guy's gone, turns around to the bench, and Uwe Rosler's gone. Like, whatever.
Crack on.
Guy takes it, smashes it, hits the bar, comes out, lads clear it. And like we said, Billy's on his squatting right at the halfway line. Nobody sees him. Like, literally everyone from Brentford wants to celebrate, so they're at the edge of the box. Goalkeeper's 30 yards out. Bill's unknown to everybody, I think even the bench. So you got the Brentford bench on the left, halfway line, Doncaster bench. They're all sitting watching that way thinking, we need to get on and celebrate. Ball bounces, cleared a couple times, then boom, lands right at Billy. So Billy's shirt's dropped, takes his touch, great first touch to be fair, out of his feet, runs, one-on-one with the keeper, cops how the hell he's caught up, completely cleared. Billy takes a touch, keeper comes out, taps it across the goal. Cops gave me a heart attack with his first touch. That could have gone anywhere.
Bit of a
And
bobble,
then-
wasn't it?
And then tapped it in right in front of 2,500 Donny fans. That was it.
League winners.
League winners. In a green jersey, the worst jersey Donny's ever worn.
Good night that night.
I can remember seeing somebody,
Good
no
night.
mentioning no names, but I can remember seeing somebody dancing around the pitch with no shirt on.
Weren't me.
Yeah, it was me.
I know it fucking
It
knew.
was you Cots.
I
You
think-
and Cots were topless. And fucking Cops throwing his shirt into the crowd and having to get it back.
Yeah, because the game there was
The
still.
game was still going, still had to kick off. So he had no shirt. He's like, I need my shirt. I need my shirt. Fucking
Imagine
panic.
that fan who got it thinking, fucking hell, that's like the gold dust.
But that
Oh
was-
no.
He didn't get it back then.
No,
He had to put somebody. I think he put Kyle Bennett's on.
Yeah.
The fan kept it, but Cops after the game said, "I
Give
want
it
it back.
back." No.
I want it back." And he ended up getting it back
Put it in
later.
a frame.
But that was
Yeah,
it. Like,
stand.
we were celebrating on the pitch, had all the photos with the "We Are Champions" and all that, and then I was back up to Donny in our tracksuits into town. Wasn't even a stop at the club. Straight into town, drop us off, straight into a corner and fucking bottles of shit
Bish bash
everywhere.
bosh.
It was a bit of a
Was there an opportunity to stay after that? Oh,
again. They spoke to at the end of the season, buzzed off it. Still had a year left at Preston, but they were willing to let me go on a free. Spoke to them at the end of the season. Was it who was the
Hoffy, speaking about him.
Phil
earlier.
Hoff.
Yeah.
offered me 2 years, same money I was on. Offered me 2 years and goes, do me a favour. He goes, go on your holidays, come back, we'll sort it all out, finalise.
Still waiting.
Nothing.
Still waiting for a phone call. 7 years later.
But so Hume came to Fleetwood and took my place in the team.
Scoring 1 goal, fucking 2-foot challenge on the ball. 8 yards out? Have that goal.
Yeah, it were home that, weren't it?
Was, yeah. I think it was actually me and you up front.
And well, I must have come on as fucking sub.
Enjoy it, Fleetwood?
I did, apart from the travel. It was fucking driving me insane. Obviously, the facilities were terrible.
We used to train at the old rugby club.
Yeah.
So it went no fucking Leicester or Barnsley.
It was
or
no like they
Preston
now.
or
Have you seen the facilities now?
Oh yeah, it's
Incredible. As good as any championship team.
yeah. The chairman's done fucking wonders, hasn't he?
But the pitch was nice.
Yeah, the pitch were all, well.
Pitch was nice.
When I got on it,
Good
it were all
lunch.
right.
It was good for
How were
warm.
the-
It
how
was
were the
good for warm-ups.
Lunch facilities good?
They're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got fed and watered. No, but yeah. I mean, I got back in the team on the 1st of January, and I played for the next 7 or 8 games. Then Hume came in. We played Exeter away, right?
Oh, what a bad game that was! Jesus
Right.
Christ.
And I said to the lads in the week leading up to it, I says, look, if I've not scored on 60 minutes, right, I'll get dragged off here. So we were getting beat 3-0, right? But I were our best player. Like, I was doing quite well.
There's been a lot of self-praise today, hasn't there?
60, you know, I'm not a self-praiser. 61 minutes, my number comes up. Hume came on. Obviously played the last half an hour. So we play on the Tuesday then. Gets to the stadium, and the kit's up, and my kit's in the subs corner. So I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So he names his team. Hume's playing. I'm sub. And it gets to like we're going out at 7:05.
Makes me feel fucking bad this now.
No, wait, it weren't your fault.
Cunt.
Fucking arsehole. So at 5 minutes to 7, I'm still sat in the corner in my tracksuit, sulking, like not moved, just fucking stuck with a face of thunder. And I need my strappings on and to get changed. And Alexander went, Parky, can I have a word? I went, yeah, fucking right, you can. So I've stamped my feet down. I've got into his office.
Big baby, man.
No, this there's loads of scenarios that's led up to this. I went into office and he went, frustrated. That was his word. Frustrated. I went, fucking frustrated. I said, you taking the fucking piss out of me? And I went. Like, you know when you said you'd gone, that was the first time I thought, I'm going to hit the manager here. I'd put my hands in my pockets and my fucking arms were shaking. I thought, I'm going to fucking hit him here.
Not gonna lie, I wouldn't want to upset you.
And I was like, and he went, are you going to be sub or what? I went, yeah, of course I'm going to be fucking sub. You've said I'm sub, aren't you? And I literally went out 15 minutes late for the warm-up because I had to get my strappings on and get changed and all that. And I don't think I ever started a game. Oh, I started the last game of the season. Game of that. Did you go to Chesterfield?
I wasn't.
You were sub because you were playing on the Friday in the playoffs.
I was in the stand for the Chesterfield game
So
because they won the league.
Did you
didn't
start the playoff final?
Yeah.
started the both semis and the playoff. But we might have spoke about it on Cresses.
Yeah.
Did we speak about it? Shall I go for it or?
No.
Right, okay.
So why then, at the end of the season, what was the call comes from India?
So we get promoted, by the way.
Yeah.
Well,
And you get
we
you
win
got
We win promotion. We see Parky swimming in the lake at the hotel, which I'm sure came up on Cressy's. Was it Cressy's? It
Must have been Cressy's,
I think
aye.
it was. Yeah, I remember listening to it. But yeah, that was as good as it sounded. And then end of the season, speaking with Greza and wanted to sign me on permanent, and he knew what my contract was, and then all of a sudden they were offering half of what they were offering, or what they'd paid me in League Two, which I found as a little bit disrespectful. And
In League One now.
in League One now, so won the money. Well, not won the money, but won promotion. You obviously have to pay a little bit more for whatever, but offer me 50% of what they were paying me in League Two. was kind of a
Kicking the
It
ball.
it was impossible to accept, essentially. So then,
Because this is the first Indian season as well.
there's the inaugural season. So Leicester got promoted to the Prem, and doing a interview with a mate of mine who was doing freelance stuff for a Canadian company for Leicester. He thought the easiest one to do was speak to me about it, and we'd done all that, and then he brought up the Indian Super League, if I'd ever heard of it and what I'd thought about it, because he'd been offered a job out there, and obviously being contracted to jobs over in the UK, he couldn't really accept it. So he pushed me on to one of the guys with the company who was running the league. And yeah, next thing I know, I'm entered into a draft. They're accepting that they want a Canadian international, only Canadian player that's played in the league. So they put my name in the hat. And
So the draft done like American football again.
yeah,
Going back where the best foreign players all go into a pot, and then the teams
Yeah.
get to pick which
yeah.
one
Well,
they
they
want.
do. They did two separate drafts. So one weekend they did the Indian players. So they had all the 120 Indian players.
So do you not know where you're gonna?
Well, there you go.
play
I
for?
went to sleep, not knowing who I was at, and I woke
Which
up to a
city you're
text
gonna
message.
live in? Which
Could have been anywhere.
I don't know.
I woke up to a text message. You've been
Yeah.
drafted to Kerala Blasters.
So what is
Right.
this like? What before this Indian Premier League started? What was the Indian League before that?
It was called the I League. So there's two separate leagues now. So you had the I League, which is the historical league, which is the one that's been going on for 20 odd years, 15 odd years, and then the cash spinning league, like the IPL, the
Cricket.
Indian Premier League cricket. They thought,
We'll chuck some money
com-
in and have
the
a
com-
rebrand.
well,
rebrand.
the company who, the family who own it, the Ambanis, who own Reliance, the company who runs pretty much everything around the world, Reliance. They run, the Ambani family run that, and they've decided, well, there's no reason why a country like India can't be competing with football leagues around Asia.
Because of the population.
Yeah, they've got 1.4 billion people. So they're like, well, we'll pump a bit of money into it. Hence the reason it started up. And they thought, well, we do the IPL with a draft system. We'll do the ISL, the Indian Super League, with a draft system.
Yeah.
So they did that so that it's an even keel for everybody to start off with.
So you know what you're getting into. You know
Yeah.
you're just going in a pot and
Well, everyone was announcing their marquee players. So, like the first season, you had Goa had Robert Pires, Mumbai had Freddie Lundberg and Nicholas Anelka. Then you had Kerala had player coach David James. Capdevia was at Northeast United. You had the first season. You had Sylvester, Nesta, Mendy, Materazzi at Chennai.
It's a bad pick, innit? How old was David James at this point?
Thinking about you, we were a bad pick.
Hey, fucking player of the year that, yeah.
It's a bad pick, innit? You've got
so
all
what
them
for
players.
James.
Yeah.
I know.
What for your manager?
And
Yeah,
play,
but-
no, he was a marquee, wasn't he?
Play, marquee and manager.
How was he the last one?
No, well, those the marquees were chosen, so they were, you could go out and hand pick who you had. So Calcutta had Luis Garcia.
When you say unpick, is that going to him and offering him a contract?
Anyone you want. You say, listen,
Right.
David, how about playing in India? Here's this.
Yeah.
And it's one of those. And obviously his chance to get into the managerial side of things was perfect.
Do you know when you sign up to this IPL?
SL.
This whatever
The Indian
this
League, yeah.
Indian League.
Putting pads on.
Whatever. When you sign up to this Indian Super League, right? Do you sign up and knowing what contract you're going to get?
Well, the first season you're entering the draft, so you've agreed a contract pre-draft. So
you've agreed to play for anybody for X amount.
Yeah. That was the first one. After that, your contract is what you decide with the club that you're signing for.
So once they've got you, they've got you.
No.
Is the league paying you wages?
After the first one was to make it an even keel. So everyone is offering. So all your foreign players were pretty much on the same money. So everyone who entered this draft was on X amount. You had one or two who were above and beyond, like Bernard Mendy, was on a little bit more.
Is that him who's at Man City now?
No, boy, the right back used to play for Hull.
What are you laughing at?
The one that used to play for Hull and
Bolton.
Right.
He was on a little bit more than everyone else. You had a couple Spanish guys who I played with a couple years later were on a little bit more than everyone else. Everyone else, all the foreign players who went into the draft were on this.
Mate, what? There's a Mendy at City now.
There is a Mendy at City, yeah.
There is, but
He didn't get brought up from India, from Man City.
can't
3
believe
months
he's moved
stint
to
in
Man
India.
City, the bastard.
To the Etihad.
But
Gone from Goa to Etihad.
but that was it. The first season was draft.
So you've
After
said,
that-
right, I'm gonna play for any team.
I didn't know anything. I just said, yeah, I'm willing to enter the draft.
Right.
Signed the contract. I'm entering. the
I'm
draft.
getting X.
I could
if
go
I'm a-
fucking anywhere,
Right.
and literally anywhere.
To be fair though, I mean,
I've landed right on my feet. 65,000 fans.
but I mean,
How was it culturally? The experience?
Well, it was good, but you're living in a hotel. You're living in a 5-star hotel, secluded from everything. There's security guards on the front and back of the hotel trying to stop.
So you're not really experiencing the Indian culture?
We got the opportunity to, so we did travel. We did get to see parts of the state and parts of the city and other parts of the country, but it's not. You've got to live in the area they live in. Not got to live in the poverty-stricken areas, or we got to drive through and we got to, like, I tried to introduce my kids to it a couple of years later, and you're driving down the road and you're seeing kids showering in the street wells. So they're doing the pumping the water over, and there's a 2-year-old kid laying there or sitting there naked trying to shower themselves. And, like, these are the sort of things I try to introduce to my kids.
Yeah.
To try and make
to
them realise how lucky
to make
they
them
are.
realise, yeah.
You going home and sitting in front of your TV with your Xbox and your iPad and all that, and you got a kid sitting here buzzing to have.
Because we have spoke about it with Tony Warner
to get washed.
before.
Yeah, and to have a coconut and to have, like, Tony Warner went out to Chennai,
Yeah.
and Tony was only there for a year or for a season, and he was at Chennai and he did well. But there's and he knows there's other places of the country that are.
He was saying how the divide in
It's
From-
high. There's
from top.
there's wealthy and poor.
there's a complete
There's a
split.
very
Like you're in your
slim-
5-star hotel and then you
Yeah.
go around the road and it's from
Just
one
going
extreme
back
to
to that,
another.
you know the draft bit. I imagine if you're moving to India, no serious, but if you're moving to India, it don't really matter where in India you're moving to, does it?
No, but you're in a 5-star hotel.
So you know
So
when
for
you're
the
saying the uncertainty of the draft, you're still going to be in a 5-star hotel, whichever
Yeah,
team.
but-
How's
Yeah,
the
but-
league system work? Are you moving? Have you got a base, or are you just going to another city and staying in another hotel and then you play the game?
Yeah.
Because the country's
Yeah.
that vast, and then moving to another city.
Yeah, well,
train
you tend to play home and away.
yeah.
You maybe get a couple away games. So with Kerala, we'd play maybe a home game, and then we go and play Delhi, and then we go and play Mumbai, and then come back to Kerala. So you'd literally stay on the west coast. So you'd
Yeah.
maybe pop up to Delhi, which is in the
So it
centre.
makes geographical sense. that
Yeah,
you'll-
it doesn't always though.
yeah.
Like we had a couple times where we flew like here, and then back. Like it's they just essentially go with what's easiest and
So
just get it.
complete change from getting,
Oh, yeah. There's
getting the
no-
coach up to Hull and coming back again.
Yeah,
Did you play with Berbatov later on when you moved again?
we did. Yeah,
But that was
tremendous time.
yeah.
My fucking pro zone would have been up with yours at Stoke.
How good was he?
Technically incredible.
He looks like a decent fella. He's a good looking, but he just comes across as a funny fella.
I don't know.
We
don't
never
know.
spoke to him.
Minimal contact.
Really?
Great. Hey, listen.
He didn't have the coronavirus, did he?
Fucking, I don't know. He maybe self-isolated.
So he didn't socialise?
Very little.
What, even on team
We didn't.
meals and all that?
Very little. We went for team meals. If he went out as a full team, he'd be there. But listen, we know what he was as a player. Incredible genius. He was literally a fucking genius with the ball, and you could see it. But he came over, and Muhlenstein brought him in as the former Man United player, and he wanted to play holding midfield and centre midfield, and it didn't help him at all.
So, Dimitar Berbatov, right, who's had the career that he's had, and he was at Man United and Tottenham and wherever else
Monaco.
he's been. What on earth is he earning in India to go to India at 35, Murray?
Remember, it's 3 months as well.
No, that was a bit longer then. It
Right.
moved on to.
But what is he earning in India for him to think, tell you what, fuck it, I'm going to go to India?
Good
You would
money.
say that about a lot of people. Perez and Elka.
Well, they would
Why
see
do they need
Perez
to
and
go?
Anelka. They were there for 3 months,
But what are they earning in 3 months?
$750,000 mil,
So they're earning
250 grand a month.
60 grand a week, basically, round and about.
Del Piero was on supposedly over $1 million a year for 3 months.
$1 million for 3 months.
I know, but right.
That-
I know that's a lot of money for 3 months.
For us, that's a shitload of money. For them, is it?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Why would you go to? Why would you go to India for 3 months for?
Yeah, but why wouldn't you? I mean,
So Berbatov's on fucking 150 grand a week for 10 years.
but to take it away from the money,
So did they go for the
you
experience?
could go and
then, you think?
experience India for 3 months
See that? I don't know.
and earn a shitload of money at the same time. That's like a bonus.
That I don't-
What else is he doing with his time?
But how? See, the
But-
question is, how many of them learned the experience and enjoyed the
well,
experience?
that's it. I don't know.
If you sat in an hotel, you're not seeing India, are you?
No, but you don't know that's what he's doing.
If you've got, I imagine Berbatov's got £10 million in bank minimum. So does he really need to go to India for 750 grand?
Maybe not.
Would you rather go on holiday for 3 months?
Well, he was.
Well, yeah.
Was he putting it in?
But you know what I mean? I don't
Not really.
understand why these. Big,
I'm kind of.
Was Wes Brown there in that
Wes
team
was
as well?
there.
Yeah.
See, there's the complete contrast of
Difference.
people. Wes is a proper, down to earth, just a normal lad. What he's achieved in the game, how many Premier Leagues he's won, and FA Cups and Champions Leagues and whatever. The type of lad he is, just a normal fucking lad.
so do you think he went for the experience then?
100%. Brought his mates out. He brought 4 or 5 mates out. 4 mates. And they played fucking games. They did a poker tournament. They did a penalty shootout. They did a go-kart. And brought his proper boyhood mates out to India to spend time with him, to witness it all.
So that's
See, Wes is
different.
I'm amazed. Like, I'm sitting there and he's a proper mank. He's a proper Man United fan, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, my phone's dead, Hume. What? Have you got a charger? I said, yeah, no worries. Passed him up my charger. Got my phone ready. Fucking Liverpool charger. So he's standing there like that. He's charging it, plugs it in, holding it like that. Photo over the top of him, fucking Liverpool FC charger. Charging his phone, buzzing off it. And I've sent him it. He's like, what the fuck's that? Fucking looks at it. Next day, get on the bus. He sits right in front of me. Get on, and he's like talking. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking to? Look over his shoulder, sitting there talking to Wayne Rooney. Like, best mates. So this is the sort, but he's just like, hey, look at this, like fucking talking to him. Look out the window, look at this, look what we're doing here. And proper getting his mates involved in all of it.
Down to earth.
So it was like an experience for him.
For him, and like his kids came out twice, his wife came out a couple of times. He actually went travelling to witness what was going on. And there's the difference. Like, he is a very, very good lad, but he's a very down-to-earth lad.
I suppose the problem is there's a lot of competition, isn't there,
Oh, fucking, there's a world full of footballers.
for that style of league where you're looking at 30-plus players,
Oh, and you
age-wise, that you're giving a good wage to.
but
China doing it,
nobody's
MLS.
trying to get the older players now.
Mm.
So you're looking at teams, and you're like, who do I give the money to? And the amount of English players and Premier League players who've gone over there and shit the bed because
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be easy.
Bad curry.
But that's it. Like, you're getting players going out there thinking, oh, it's an easy payday,
And it's not.
and they're not. They're not good enough. Or
that-
they have been good enough in their career.
Is that
But they think
because?
they're going to piss it.
Is that because all of the rest of the players are all fucking fit athletes?
Well, they're athletes, but It's the mentality. They want to go out and win games. They want to go out and learn. And you get people who go out there and think it's going to be easy. And you've had an awful lot of players who've come through at youth teams in Premier Leagues and played Premier League and Championship football, and they've gone out there, and I'm willing to bet on one hand how many people have stood out and really actually
Done something.
made a difference.
So what's next, mate?
Well, at the moment, I'm out of a contract or out of a club for the last 10 months. So, although I've put in many a phone calls and been told I'm getting many a messages back and calls back, I'm still got the same number and it's not rang. So, now I was actually having a conversation with John about it before. Is calling you John's weird. A lot of people change when they stop playing. Like everyone says, the amount of years we've played football, and these guys will vouch for it. The amount of people you know through like 20. Well, I'm 20 years professional. The amount of people you meet through that. How many of them call you back?
The phone stops ringing.
How many of them do you know? How many of them
You thought you know.
can you vouch for, and can you trust their word? And it's hard to accept because you think you've gone your whole career, or you've gone your whole time as a player, and you never expect favours, but you expect the courtesy of a phone call.
Things you've had that since you were bloody 14 at St Mirren.
Well,
You know what I
exactly,
mean?
and that's you come to expect it to a degree, but when you're 36-year-old and you put in a couple of texts and you get replies over Christmas and they say, "I'll call you back just after Christmas, I'm still waiting," and these are guys that I've played with, who are in charge of clubs, and you're hoping to just finish your career properly. Like I'd have done nothing more. I'd have loved nothing more than to finish my career in Canada with the Canadian Premier League. I have the utmost respect for one guy who called me back and offered me a job, and things unfortunately didn't happen. But I'm still waiting on 4 phone calls from guys who told me they'd call me back, and it's frustrating. Listen, I don't expect gifts. But I expect
Courtesy.
Is it scary?
Retiring? Or
What am I going to do next?
I'm going to stay in the game. I'm quite pig-headed about shit like that. What capacity, I'm not sure. I've done my B licence coaching. I want to push on to my A, but I don't want to jump into that. I don't want to be like a lot of Premier League footballers come out and do a BA course.
You want to learn
I want to learn my trade.
from your B to your A. You want to learn before you.
Yeah, I don't want to jump into an A licence and like, oh shit, what do I do now? I want to do my B, get plenty of hours under my belt training and coping with the team environment and coping with players, and then going on from that. And then if and when I think I'm ready, whether it's next summer or whether it's the summer after, looking to do my A licence, and then so on and so forth.
I'm talking. This is fucking quite deep, actually. So do you know, like you said, when you walked out of the hospital, another
Fucking
2 hours.
I'm back 2 hours, aren't you?
No, but and this is sort of wrapping it up. But you know when you said like you were 2 hours. If you'd have gone home and 2 hours later, you could have been dead. Do you just think everything else is a bonus? Are you of that mindset or?
Yeah, I'm lucky that I didn't go out, and that they'd rushed me back in for a scan, but got to see my girls grow up. So regardless, whatever happened.
So fuck the football.
Oh, football!
You're more than happy with.
Football's just something I've been fucking good at. It hasn't come easy, but I've worked hard for it. But the main thing is keeping my family happy and healthy. And I think everybody who's been on here and you'll speak to and tells you the same thing about their career, they've done everything to prove people. A lot of it's to prove people wrong, and a lot of it's to make people happy.
Mm.
Whether it's family, whether it's people proving those pricks who told you couldn't, and proving to the family that everything all the challenges and sort of hurdles you put in front of yourself has been for a reason.
Well, you've just proved to these 2 pricks today that I could run 13.5k in a game. So for that, Ian, Thank you.
You didn't even know you ran 13 now.
No, I didn't know, did I? And I'm sure that along the way, Mego were fucking chatting shit, but I'm still going to take
If he
it.
was chatting shit or not, he put it on a piece of paper.
And I'm going to take that for like the next fucking 80 podcast. No more.
Well, cheers, mate.
Yeah,
all the
thank
best,
you very much,
all the best going forward.
Pleasure, guys.
Good luck with it all, mate.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely brilliant. Cheers.
All right.